shots at this particular stadium, apart from what we've seen here in this video?
I'm not a Holy Spirit, I won't know if there was shots fired before I arrived.
That was just one of the examples cited by Magistrate Dwanet Olivier in her judgment, saying Julius Malema evaded several questions during cross-examination. She says Malema essentially shot himself in the foot by the way he responded to the state's questions.
Mr. Malema had evaded many questions that had warranted a reply. It became evident that the replies were entertaining, but however, the pertinent questions remained unanswered. And these type of answers did not do accused one any favors.
Malema will return to court on the 23rd of January next year for pre-sentencing procedures. In the meantime, he says he plans to appeal the ruling. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, East London.
Let's stay in the courts. The prosecutor in the Phala Phala burglary trial has declared yet another one of his own witnesses hostile. The prosecutor has accused both witnesses of giving testimony which contradicts their earlier police statements. Emanuela David and siblings Froliana and Ndilinasha Joseph are appearing at the Murimule Regional Court in Limpopo in connection with the burglary today. The trio is accused of breaking into President Cyril Ramaphosa's farm in 2020 and stealing $580,000, which was hidden inside a couch. Tabisokoba has more.
The state called its fourth witness today, who was an old friend of all three of the accused and is not allowed to be named by the media. At the start of his testimony, the witness was asked about a statement he made to police in February 2024. Speaking through an interpreter, he made this revelation.
The only thing that what I want to tell the court, I'm illiterate, I don't know how to read and I don't know how to write. Those people, they came with a statement, they just gave me to sign it.
State prosecutor Nkenteni Munyai says the witness is clearly deviating.
The state would like to lay the basis through a statement that the witness made to invoke the provisions of Section 190 of the Criminal Procedure Act. That is to declare him hostile.
The defense lawyers have suggested there may be a need for a trial within a trial to determine whether the police statement can be submitted as evidence. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Limpopo.
In KwaZulu-Natal, an ANC delegation is expected to head to the home of South Africa's late ambassador to France, Nathi Mthethwa. Mthethwa was found dead in a hotel in Paris yesterday after he had been reported missing. Party leaders in his home region of Musa Dladla in northern KZN are amongst those who have sent their condolences to the family. Regional Deputy Coordinator Piwa Mhlongo says senior party leaders will be visiting Mthethwa's home tomorrow.
He is amongst the people who have raised up or shaped our growing up. So we are saddened with the news. We just been with the family. They are still gathering some of the information.
We shift our focus to this now. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has assured South Africans that crime intelligence boss Dumisani Khumalo is in good spirits and receiving medical attention. Khumalo was meant to appear before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry today to continue with his testimony, but he left the Bridget Mabandla Justice College in Pretoria just after 9 a.m. after he started feeling sick. The commission is probing alleged infiltration of the criminal justice system by criminal syndicates. Police spokesperson Athlenda Mate.
General Masemola is in contact with the senior officer and confirms that he is in good spirits and taking health advice from his physician. The General's health is receiving priority and the Madlanga Commission will be kept abreast of all developments pertaining to his condition as well as when he will be available to continue with his testimony.
And anti-government protesters in Madagascar have called for fresh demonstrations and a general strike seeking to force the president to step down. The calls come after nearly a week of action by youth-led movements. A crowd marched today in the northern part of the country, calling for the president to resign over poor service delivery. This week, the president announced the dismissal of the entire government, but protesters say this is not enough. Gold is trading at $3,887.12 an ounce. The rand is at 17.20 to the dollar, 23.15 to the pound, 20.14 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $66.03 a barrel.
Well, in Alberton, heading towards Vereeniging, there's an accident seen on the R59 southbound. This is before the Kliprivier off-ramp, causing about a 30-minute delay all the way from Swartkoppies. Also, leaving Edenvale, heading into Bedfordview. Slow-moving traffic on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulies interchange.
In your sport, Tsegofatso Mabasa nearing Orlando Pirates' all-time goal-scoring record. Arna Slot faces reality check as Liverpool problems mount. And Yannick Sinner thrashes Leonard Tien to win his 21st ATP title.
Gauteng is partly cloudy this afternoon. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 24 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, the East London Magistrates Court has found that EFF leader Julius Malema's attempts to avoid answering questions during his firearm discharge trial worked against him.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It's 7 minutes past 3 on Wednesday, the 1st of October. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman, wherever you're listening to us in 702 land. Welcome to the show. What next for Julius Malema and the economic freedom fighters? Will the EFF leader's conviction on multiple firearm charges today have significant implications for his party, for the man himself? More on that after 5. Some other stories we're covering. Did you hear the story about people's e-filing accounts at SARS being hacked? And if it did it send a little chill down your spine? There's very few things, I think, as terrifying as having your money matters hacked into. The tax ombud, though, has been looking into this and joins us with an update on what they found and, crucially, what they're going to do at about 25 past 3. The 2025 Women's Cricket World Cup is underway in India and Sri Lanka. Protea's first match is against England on Friday. We'll look ahead to the tournament with all-rounder Annerie Dirksen. She's with us at 10 past 4. And why do girls do better in matric than boys? We'll look at a Stellenbosch University study that offers some insights. That's coming up at about 10 to 4. We've got all that and a whole lot more on 702 Drive, including breaking news, news from the roads in our regular traffic updates, and the latest from the markets, where I have to tell you, all the numbers are moving in the right direction, very much so. The All Shares up by around 890 points, currently at 108,832. That's a gain of 83%. Telkom is up by 3.5, Sibanye by 3.1, Northam by 2.95% on another strong day for platinum stocks. Outsures gained 2.7% so far today. The rand is currently trading at 17 rand and 16 cents against the US dollar. Remember the high 19s? Doesn't seem that long ago. The rand 11 cents stronger than it was this time yesterday. A euro will cost you 2016, 12 cents better than 24 hours ago. 23 rand and 17 cents will get you a pound. There's a small improvement there as well. Good news too on the oil price. It can never be low enough, but lower is better than higher. At least Brent crude down by 51 cents, trading right now at $65.58 a barrel. Stephen Critters joining us with all the details at 25 past 4. We'll have sport with Tolakele Mganga, and Bali Dlamini has the latest news headlines. Karabo Chale is keeping an eye on the roads. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live. If it's happening in 702 land, you will hear it here first, unless, of course, you heard it before we did, in which case we'd love your help. If you've seen something we haven't seen, heard about something that we clearly don't know about, or perhaps we are missing or misunderstanding the point entirely, contact us on 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702. 702 Drive. It's 10 past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
As usual, every day we've got lots to talk about, lots of questions to ask and lots to think about, including some of those rather more random thoughts that pop into our head and then we think, oh, that'll make an interesting thing to talk about. And invariably, you give us lots of great feedback on whatever it is that we've asked you about. Today we're going to talk about TV shows, but Jonathan Fairbairn, who's just stepped in, is going to tell us about what exactly about TV shows we're going to talk about.
Afternoon, John, and afternoon to our 702 family. So, I mean, there's so many good series out there, right? And sometimes it's nice to watch a series with your significant other or to share this series with some friends. And then maybe if they start watching it, you can chat about it and you know, gossip about it and whatever it may be. So you then recommend the series to somebody and they give it a go and then they love it, or they give it a go and they're like, really?
Seriously? I thought I knew you.
That?
Yes.
Or yes, or I thought I knew you. And I mean, so there's this great series on Showmax called Rogue Heroes. It's about the formation of the SAS way back in World War One, and how they formed this unit and how they go behind enemy lines and they have these successes, but more so about the individuals and the personality. So there is a bit of, you know, shooting and war and all that kind of stuff, but it's more about the personalities and the story about the SAS. So I recommended it to the missus.
Yes.
As soon as I said SAS, she was like, what?
Yes.
Not a chance.
Fair enough.
But it's from the creator of Peaky Blinders. And if
it's fiction. It's not a documentary.
Well, it's based on a book written about.
Yeah.
So it's not a documentary,
but it's a dramatization.
Dramatization, correct. And she was like, no, not having it at all. And I even said, but it's from the same guy, Stephen Knight, who, you know, came up with the Peaky Blinders series, because she loved that. She absolutely loved that.
Yes.
That didn't even get her. So I was a little bit hurt. I was like, okay, you know, we could have watched this together.
Yes.
And now I have to find time, you know, on my own when I can, to grab the TV in the lounge to watch it. So, yeah, that's my series that I recommended, and she was having none of it.
Okay, so a real failure there. Similar to my suggestion, we watched The Sopranos together.
Yeah.
I think 15 minutes into episode 1, somebody gets murdered and put through a bandsaw or something. He said, this is very violent. I said, it's about the mafia. Anyway, that was a crashing failure as well. How about you, Karabo? I mean, you in a little tight household, or are you good at persuading somebody that's, even though you kind of think they maybe probably won't like this, have you ever managed to persuade them that they do?
I'm really bad at that because I don't watch much TV.
Okay.
So I watch soccer and there and there I would watch the news. But I get persuaded kind of easily.
Yes.
But then it was hard for me to get into the catching up with the Kardashians. My missus loves it. And initially I was like, oh no, don't tell me this. We have to go through watching this the whole day because it plays every day, all day. But then I started watching it and I got interested in their lifestyle and the way their families are run, their morals. And it's not as we know it. Like, you know, we know Kim Kardashian as the socialite, as the model, as the, you know. But yeah, if you go deep down into the family morals and the way they live, it's quite interesting. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, so you are keeping up with the Kardashians.
The famous people with no talent.
So I'm just trying to think how we can do households here, because no, this is not going to work. I was going to say no, it's not going to work. Forget it. He likes the Kardashians, you don't. Your missus does Son like the Kardashians?
Thank goodness doesn't watch the Kardashians, but she watches all the Housewives series.
Yes,
and there's this one about I can't remember which state they're in, but they're Mormons. They're these Mormon housewives.
Yeah. So Salt Lake City or something.
There we
like
go.
that.
Salt Lake City.
I never watched it.
Yeah, are you sure you haven't watched it?
No, I did geography. I did geography at school. I'm good
Salt
at
Lake
that
City.
stuff.
Yeah, Housewives of Salt Lake
City. The thing
City.
about all these reality shows, I've tried to watch all these housewives. I can't get into any of them. But the only one I can sit down and watch is the Kardashians. The rest, forget about it.
We'll ask you in a month. We're going to set up a test for you. Stop off at Jono's. He'll pour you a drink. You can watch the Housewives of Salt Lake City, whatever. Okay, so, I mean, There are two things involved here, it seems to me. I mean, the one is obviously if you're sharing space, living space, sharing a TV set, there's an attempt to persuade someone that actually this isn't your time, this is shared time because you're going to love this show. And then there is, some people really feel it quite strongly. They kind of want to be watching things with people that they like, even if they're not in the same physical space, but you want to be able to talk to them about it. So your successes or failures, either as a recipient or as a purveyor of TV shows, in trying to persuade people that gotta watch this, you've got to watch this, because it's kind of to your credit if they watch it and love it, isn't it? 16 minutes past 3. Let's find out what's happening out on the roads. Karabo Chale, good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. Well, at this stage, we still have slow-moving traffic heading into Bedfordview. That's in Edenville, R24 westbound, between Edenville Road and the Giluli's interchange. Also, in the Alberton area, if you're traveling towards Vereeniging, expect about a 30-minute delay. This is between Swartkoppies and Kliprivier Drive due to an earlier accident. Driving through Devland, we still have those roadworks causing delays heading towards Eldorado Park. That's on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. Also traveling through Soweto, that's in the Deep Kloof area. There's slow-moving traffic on Chris Hani Road. That's opposite Bara Hospital. And also look out for those faulty traffic lights in the Rand Park Ridge area at Beyers Nordia and the N1. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
The awful news that emerged from Paris yesterday, Natim Tetwa, our ambassador to France, dying. Can you give us some clarity on the circumstances surrounding his death?
As we understand it, he had left home on his way to a cocktail dinner. That's the information that the wife had provided to the French authorities.
Can you at least confirm whether it is true or not that he fell from the 22nd floor?
At this point, it's definitely not something that we're able to confirm.
The more we know, the less we know. Crispin Piri.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
In business, there are no guarantees, but here's a guarantee you can bank on. Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and get a guaranteed non-escalating premium for 12 months, even if you claim. For pharmacies, restaurants, beauty salons, convenience stores, and other industries, Outsurance Business Insurance are trusted experts in insuring your business. Get more out. Get a quick and easy quote today. Call 08 600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
Hey, Laura.
The unmistakable voice of jazz and soul returns to South Africa, Gregory Porter. Join the two-time Grammy Award winner for 3 intimate performances now at Teatro Monte Casino on the 20th, 21st and 22nd of November. Don't miss one of the greatest voices of our time, Gregory Porter, live. Book now at showtime.co.za.
No one will ever understand just how much your car means to you. The way Bumblebee carried you through road trips, or how Ruby Gold has been there for every big moment. This Name Your Car Day 2 October. 702 is teaming up with Stellantis, the global automotive powerhouse behind brands like Citroën, Alfa Romeo, Peugeot, Opel, Jeep and Fiat, to give you a chance to win your share of 20,000 Rand. All day on 702. WhatsApp a voice note of your car's name, the story behind it, plus your name and ID number to 072 702 1702. We could call you all day with 5,000 Rand to celebrate your bond. Thanks to Stellantis on 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com. You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, just to remind you that we are on YouTube. If you want to watch us, as well as listen to us, you can go onto YouTube and find us there. Just type in 702 Drive, put in my name, put in live, and you can check us out. It's always nice to know that you can see us, even if we can't see you. And there is, by the way, a chat and comment function. So if you want to respond to the show while you're watching and listening, by all means join in using that platform, and I'll share as much of your comments, as many of your comments as I can. 21 minutes past 3.
Drive Home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Now, you may know, and you may in fact be directly involved with this, either because you run an NGO in Gauteng, or perhaps in some way or another your work or your interests takes you into that realm. There have been problems for some time now over the funding systems for NGOs in Gauteng. A little while back in August, NGOs were urged to undertake training so that they could do their applications online. The new system was called Grantor, and it was meant to manage all funding applications and payments electronically. We're hearing, though, that this is not working well at all. And to try and get a sense of where things stand right now, we're joined by Lisa Vetten. She's chair of something called the Gauteng Care Crisis Committee, which is the body formed by NGOs who came together as this crisis began unfolding. Ms. Vetten, welcome, and thanks for your time. What's happening with Grantor? Does it work?
No. And the department has in fact admitted that and said to everybody to put the system to one side and go back to what are effectively paper-based systems and email.
Okay, so you were all trying to make your way through Grantor. Training was offered, applications. What is the deadline for applications? Because presumably people spent a lot of time online. Is there a ticking clock as to when you need to get your applications in?
There certainly is, and that's why I think this has all been so very, very stressful for organizations. That ticking clock ticks down on the 15th of October. So effectively on Monday, the department finally admitted that the system had too many teething problems to continue with it, and then issued a brand new template saying to organizations to please use this. So effectively, they've now got 2 weeks in which to try and put their applications together. At the same time as the department is also demanding their end of quarter reports, which take a plethora of forms and demand the most minutely detailed of information. So it becomes very, very stressful because, you know, if they don't get their applications in on time, that means there's no funding next year, no service or services to people in the province as a consequence.
So this all comes against a background and a longer timeline of difficulties. Could you, Lisa Vetten, just give us a summary of what's already happened? My understanding is part of the problem was that people were not funded, no reasons given. People were told they were getting funding, but no money was coming through. Everyone is doing this off the back of what sounds like a much longer period of stress, not just the last few months.
Absolutely. I mean, I think if you want to really time this, when this period of uncertainty and stability and precarity began, you could use September 2022, when the department called NGOs to a workshop, told them it was altering its systems, taking a much more punitive approach to them, and would be looking for reasons to take money back from them. And since then, I mean, in early 2023, we saw a 400 million rand budget cut, which was only reversed after protests. We saw another very peculiar funding application process later that year that gave organizations 3 weeks in which to put through proposals using brand new systems that also, with no notice, cancelled existing 3-year contracts that were already in place, introduced a range of other new demands and requirements, and was so late the following year when funding should have begun by April 2024 that eventually NGOs had to go to court to compel the department to make a decision on their funding applications, sign contracts, and pay them. In 2024, the funding, the call for applications was somewhat better. It went back to the way it was.
Yes.
But then we had another little bit of chaos earlier this year because, once again, by the end of the financial year, organizations didn't know if they were being funded and how much they were being funded for. With 1 day's notice, they got called suddenly to a meeting where they got handed out awards letters. But an awards letter is not a contract.
Yes.
And so it then took weeks, and then into another almost 6 weeks, until only in May that organizations started getting paid. And some organizations only got paid in June. Now we have the funding process, which is again, for the 3rd year in a row, something completely different to what happened previously, which was the Grantor online system. So I think it leaves organizations very worried about them. Well, what does this mean for 2026?
Lisa Vetten, chairperson of the Gauteng Care Crisis Committee. Thanks for giving us your time on 702 Drive. Are you involved with running an NGO in Gauteng, dependent, at least in part or wholly, on money from the Gauteng government? Give us a call and just tell us what your experience has been. 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. And we will try to get the Gauteng Department of Social Development on to comment either today or on tomorrow's show. 26 minutes past 3.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
So there were reports a little while ago that the people's SARS accounts, their e-filing profiles, were getting hijacked in some way with financial consequences, with money being removed and so on. This, of course, is the kind of thing that the Office of the Tax Ombud looks into, and they've just today published a draft report into alleged e-filing profile hijacking. There is an opportunity for public comment on what they say they have found and managed to learn so far, and the closing date for those submissions is the end of this month. But what do we know so far? Well, let's welcome to 702 Drive Tax Ombud Yanga Mputa. Ms. Mputa, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time. How prevalent is this, and what are the patterns? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John, and thank you very much for allowing me to be in your show. I must say that we started investigating this August 2024 after we have received approval from the minister, because in terms of the law, we must get approval from the Minister of Finance before we can conduct the investigation. So how prevalent it is, according to our investigation, those that are hit hard first are the tax practitioners, because they do multiple entries when they are assisting the taxpayers,
right,
and it's followed by individual taxpayers. We found that companies, yes, they are hit, but it's not prevalent in the companies because companies have got protected websites and all that.
So I'm looking just at the media statement you made, ma'am, and your list of vulnerabilities is very important. I mean, this is, you say, includes, so possibly there are others. But a couple of them strike me as there's a problem with the system. And you refer to inadequate authentication processes and challenges in fraud detection. Is that a vulnerability in the SARS online system, would you say?
I can say these are the challenges because SARS, we are saying in the recommendation that they should strengthen their authentication system. Because after we've started investigating, in 22 November 2024, SARS made the two-factor authentication compulsory. Before that, it was not compulsory. So meaning that all the changes that they are doing, they are prospective moving forward. And in March 2025, they introduced a one-time PIN. So after we've started investigating this, SARS has made a lot of changes in their systems. But still, those changes need to be monitored so that they can keep on enhancing them, because the cyber criminals are also upskilling themselves.
So, Ms. Mputa, I mean, the other systemic problem that you that comes out in the summary of your key findings, another institution, you talk about problems at CIPC, which is the company's register. How does this connect to what you're seeing in regard to e-filing hijacking at SARS?
Yes, with regard to CIPC, because we had discussions with them because there are key findings and recommendations. What happens is that if you've got a company, they first change the names of the directors of the companies at the CIPC. That's what they do. Because when you've got a company, you must register it with CIPC.
Right.
So the cyber criminals make changes there and then thereafter submit fraudulent VAT returns at SARS so that and redirect the VAT refunds to their accounts.
And just finally, you refer to insider threats. What do you mean by that?
The insider threats, when we had our public engagements on 13 June last year as well as 28 May this year, the taxpayers were saying that they believe, the taxpayers themselves believe that this thing has got something to do with some of the SARS officials, because they are saying that immediately after the bank details are changed, SARS do pay the refund. However, in the normal course of circumstances, when you change your bank details, SARS need to verify. So the reason why we're saying that they are insider threats is that immediately when the bank account is changed,
yes,
the refund is paid immediately without SARS doing verification.
Thank you so much. There's much more to that, but go to the online platform of the Tax Ombud. You can pick that up on Google or any other, whatever search engine you use. That was the Tax Ombud, Yanga Mputa. And if you have had an e-filing profile that's been hacked into or manipulated in any way, and you've got some lessons or safety tips to share, please do call us and just give us the benefit of your important, albeit bitter experience. 28 minutes to 4. Time for the very latest Eyewitness News. And Bali Dlamini, good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. A South African on the global Summit flotilla sailing with aid to Gaza says despite being exhausted, she's determined to see the journey through. Social impact and humanitarian leader Dr. Zahira Sumar says the voyage across the Mediterranean Sea has taken its toll. The flotilla consists of about 50 boats with activists from around the globe. Carlo Peterson has more.
Speaking from on board one of the boats in the global Sumud flotilla, South African Zahira Sumar explains why she's on the journey to Gaza.
I joined on this journey because I feel that citizens have had to take action into their own hands at the failure of our governments and our governments intervening and bringing upon peace and prosperity for the people of Palestine.
Sumar says the journey has been both physically and mentally exhausting.
Our bodies are tired, our minds are exhausted, but we are committed to continuing on this journey and we are committed to completing our mission. And hopefully in the next 2 to 3 days, we will achieve and be successful in our mission.
A statement from the flotilla this morning indicates Israeli warships engaged in intimidatory maneuvers with some of the boats as the flotilla approaches Gaza. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
The case against a 22-year-old woman accused of murdering her boyfriend has faced another delay in the Alexandra Magistrates Court today. The court postponed the matter to Friday, where it is expected to be transferred to a different court. She was arrested over a week ago at an apartment complex in Midrand after allegedly stabbing her partner. Jabulile Mbata has more.
The 22-year-old woman made a brief appearance at the Alexandra Magistrates Court this morning. Her family members were out in numbers again, filling up the gallery, while an angry group of protesters, said to be mainly from Minga village in Limpopo, are calling for no bail. They sang and chanted outside the court. The family of the suspect has declined a request to be interviewed. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News.
The Gauteng Transport Authority has committed to focusing on the need for investment in road infrastructure during Transport Month this year. A mobility summit is being held in Sandton to mark the start of Transport Month today. The authority says Gauteng needs about 120 billion rand to build new roads to cater for the growing population in the province. Ndogozo Khumalo reports.
Gauteng Transport Authority Interim Chief Executive Officer Tshepo Khobe stressed that government needs to find new means to ensure that growth of mobility is unhindered. He was speaking at a 2-day mobility summit in Sandton today. He noted that the province is currently struggling with congestion on its highways, which is now affecting residential areas too.
Now traffic does not start on the freeway, it now starts in front of your estate gate. And that in itself is the reality you are facing as Gauteng, where congestion will now move back into the suburbs, and as it moves back into the suburbs, it will create much more of a bigger challenge. You will, at the current moment, you're spending 3 hours trying to get out of where you are.
He adds that there is a great need for investment to be made into the road infrastructure. Ndogozo Khumalo, Eyewitness News, Sandton.
And further afield, a second survivor has been pulled from the rubble of a collapsed school in Indonesia. It comes as search and rescue operations continue just a day after 3 students were killed in the collapse. The National Disaster and Mitigation Agency said around 91 people were believed to still be trapped under the ruins this morning. Part of the multi-story school caved in on the island of Java as students gathered for afternoon prayers. It's reported an unauthorized expansion of the building was ongoing at the time of the collapse. Gauteng is partly cloudy this afternoon. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 24 and 26 degrees.
Alberton heading towards Vereeniging. We still have that accident scene R59 southbound before Kliprivier Drive, causing about a 30-minute delay all the way from Swartkoppies. In Edenvale heading towards Bedfordview, also slow-moving traffic. R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange.
The top story in EWN, a South African on the global Summit flotilla, which is sailing with aid to Gaza, says despite being exhausted, she is determined to see the journey through.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
What were your thoughts listening to the SIU report?
It's quite a head, also shivering, and I think largely because you are seeing a manifestation of greed, a manifestation of insensibility. I think without wanting to decorate it anyhow, I think it's a crime against the humanity, and I think that's how one would essentially describe it.
Advocate Ezra Letwalo, Gauteng Health Portfolio Chairperson.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702. Fellow taxpayers, make tax matters a #1 priority by submitting your personal income tax return by the 20th of October 2025 deadline. Once your tax return is submitted, you'll receive a notice of assessment stipulating if there's any tax-assessed debt due to SARS or not. Should you owe, it's crucial to settle tax obligations on time to avoid any penalties or interest charges. SARS, at your service.
We're gonna make insurance great again. We're gonna build a wall around high premiums. A big wall, the best wall. And guess what? You're not paying for it. We're gonna grab poor service by the policy. It's gonna be tremendous. Believe me.
This message has absolutely nothing to do with the US government. It's paid for by the King of Insurance, who's making insurance great again. Get a quote now. It'll be the best decision, people are saying, ever. King Price is a licensed FSP. No fake news, just lacquer insurance.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hey John, James here from Joburg. Unrelated to any of the matters you've got today. I've noticed a growing trend at petrol stations where petrol attendants are not allowed to be tipped, where we used to be able to add the tip to the petrol bill and then swipe your card and then they got paid accordingly. On 4 different occasions now in the last couple of months and at 4 different brands of petrol stations, petrol attendants are no longer able to be tipped, which I think is very, very sad. Maybe it can be investigated. I always feel these guys offer a wonderful service to our communities and often are the shining light at the end of the day when you go and fill up with petrol. The least we could do is show gratitude, and no one carries cash anymore, John. Cheers.
Very, very interesting. Now, as somebody who does carry cash, I've been completely unaware that there was that change because I always tipped in cash, continue to do so. Has anyone else encountered that? And if you own a filling station or you might be involved with one of the major companies that have a number of filling stations under your umbrella, is this now policy? I had no idea that was the case, but it's hugely problematic and it's interesting. I think if you were to do a poll, and maybe it's been done already, I think we might have done it in one way or another informally here, but I think petrol station attendants would be amongst the most popular people in the South African service industry. They are generally very, very friendly, and there's it's a little bit the nature of the service because for as long as you're there, 5-6 minutes or whatever it is, it's quite a personal interaction. But I would agree absolutely that I think they're generally wonderful people to deal with. And if you've had similar experiences, James, thanks for getting that topic onto today's agenda. I'd certainly like to know more. It's 19 minutes to 4. Call us on that if you have a thought. 072 702 1702.
EWN Sport.
Right, let's get the very latest from the world of sport. Pirates starting to put up an impressive string of wins. Tolakele, serious PSL contenders, you think?
Unfortunately, yes, John. Unfortunately, yes. We might have to accept that. And Orlando Pirates have moved up to third in the Betway Premiership. That follows their 2-0 victory over TS Galaxy, as they also register their 9th consecutive win across all competitions. Tsegofatso Mabasa was on the score sheet for the Buccaneers as he netted his 50th club goal. Adeslam Madu has heaped praise on his professionalism, with the forward now 8 goals shy of equaling Benedict Vilagazi's record.
It shows a fantastic team spirit of this player. The beginning of the season, he was not playing, but you can see that he was involved 100% in training, very professional, all the time advising his teammates, close to them, very clean heart. Yeah, you know that for a striker to score, it's very important, and he knows that it's very important, and he was pushing. Nice, fantastic spirit from Mabasa and all the players. I'm very happy about that.
In the UEFA Champions League, Galatasaray were 1-0 winners over Liverpool. Chelsea edged out Benfica, while Kylian Mbappe hit a hat-trick for Real Madrid. Arne Slot doesn't believe there's reason to panic for the Reds following back-to-back defeats.
I haven't seen it back, but there was no contact with the feet, and maybe this was a situation where their player was really smart. He felt something and made it feel as if it was an unbelievable hit, and the referee said, yeah, there's contact, and then the VAR cannot overturn it if there is contact. Although he did overturn the contact in the last minute when we got a penalty.
At the World Cup, Australia women were all out for 326 as Ashley Gardner top scored with 115 against New Zealand women. In response, the White Ferns are currently 10 for the loss of 2 in the fourth over, still needing 317 runs for victory. Batting is Sophie Devine on 9 alongside Amelia Kerr on 1. For the Proteas women, they'll open their campaign against England on Friday. All-rounder Chloe Tryron has discussed what South Africa need to do to get over the last hurdle and finally win a World Cup.
We've always wanted to win a World Cup. We've come short in the T20s, but the behind the scenes that everyone has put in, all the hard work is showing. You can see it in everyone's faces how much they want this World Cup. We're going to take it one game at a time. We're not going to think too far ahead. I think if you focus too far ahead, you might get lost a little bit. So I'm just making sure that, we've got our first task on Friday, making sure that we tick that off our list and get momentum going into the rest of the tournament and hopefully lift the trophy.
And Yannick Sinner has won the 21st title of his career by thrashing Lerner Tian 6-2 and 6-2 in the China Open final. He's now the third man to win multiple China Open titles as he equals Rafael Nadal with 2, but is short of Novak Djokovic's record of 6. Tola Gilimganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
16 minutes to 4. Just remember, if you're out on the roads and there's something you've seen that we need to know about, perhaps we haven't heard about, use that same number I've been giving you throughout the show for comments on the issues of the day. 072 702 1702. Well, the one thing that we do know for sure, problems in Alberton. Here's Karabo Chale with the very latest details.
Yeah, that's if you are heading towards Vryheid. There's that accident scene in Alberton, R59 southbound. Before Kliprivier Drive, this is causing more than a 30-minute delay all the way from Swartkoppies, all the way also in Edenville. Traffic is a bit sluggish on the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Kiluli's Exchange. Boksburg traveling towards Brakpan roadworks causing delays on the N17 eastbound between Rondebolt and Carnival City. In Sandton, expect some delays on Catherine Street between Sandton Drive and Greyston. Also in Devland, we still have roadworks slowing down traffic on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. Also, Proteas Lane heading into Lenasia Soweto traffic pressure. N12 westbound approaching the R558. I'll have your next Eyewitness News traffic update just after 4.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So, 3:45 on 702 Drive. Still to come, we're going to do a story that we actually promised you yesterday. Dr. Gabrielle Wills is a senior researcher at Stellenbosch University. They've looked at how and why girls have outperformed South African boys in school in all international assessments that our country has participated in. That goes all the way back to 2011. So, what's going on? We're going to find out shortly. Tolakele TV shows if you're watching something that you absolutely love, first of all, is it kind of nice for you, or maybe even important, that friends, family, people you're close to actually watch it as well? And do you spend time persuading them, you got to watch, got to see it? And occasionally do they go, Tsolakele, I watched that, not so good?
Honestly, for me, it's the latter. A lot of the times they will say to me, you've got to watch this thing.
Yes,
I'm like,
yes.
ugh, whatever. It seems very boring from how I read it. Then 3 years down the line, I finally get into it. And then I tell them about it. They're like, oh, so now we must remember what we were watching 3 years ago.
Yes.
Because I think it was last year or the year before, I binged watched Suits. So then my best friend, he loves the series. Then he was like, so now I have to go back with you. So there I was like telling him all of these things are happening. Then he's like, relax, there's still more to come. So he had to kind of revive that excitement. And then sometimes I kind of watch a gem of a show that a lot of people didn't fall into the hype with. And I'm like, that's okay. Like I rewatched How to Get Away with Murder.
Okay.
But I think because the series was so long, because it was back when people used to do 22 episode seasons. So a lot of people didn't watch it because of how long it was. So then I was like, try watch it. Some people will be like, ugh, after the first episode I gave up. I'm like, it's fine. I will keep on rewatching it because an absolutely amazing series. Absolutely amazing.
So I liked Suits until I didn't like Suits. And when I didn't like Suits, I realized
Is it when
that I
Mike Ross
really
left?
didn't. I can't even remember. Who is he now? The
He's
young guy.
the young guy who never really went to school. There's always that one season where you're like, should I see this out?
I was in, and then I was really in, and then I was just like so over it and out of it. But yeah, I mean, what's interesting for me about this, and I wonder if it's slightly a generational thing, because before we had streaming and before we had Netflix and before we could binge watch things, TV series was much more of a collective experience. And, you know, I mean, I'm going maybe way back before perhaps even you guys were born, or certainly able to get your hands on the remote. But, I mean, there was a time when the finale of Dallas was something everybody watched all at the same time, and you had to wait till the next week. There wasn't an internet where you could, you know, either ignore spoiler alerts and go ahead and find out. So maybe this is part of it, that people still want some of that shared experience of watching the same thing, even if you're not in the same room. But give us your thoughts, TV series you've been persuaded to watch, others where you've been on a real mission, a real missionary to get other people to watch it. And how did that go? Did people say, wow, you have great taste? Or say, hey, I thought I knew you? It's 12 minutes to 4.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
7:02 drive. So we're going to be talking about the Cricket Women's World Cup, the best South Africa have done in a tournament dominated by Australia with 7 titles and sort of dominated by England with 4 trophies. Australia are the present holders. The best we've done is semi-finals, not once, but 3 times. We're going to be chatting to Annelie Dirksen, who is the current ICC Emerging Cricketer of the Year and a young rising star in the Proteas women team. Looking forward to chatting to her. She's going to be on the line to us. The tournament being played in India and Sri Lanka. First game for our team is against England on Friday. So quite a tough ask. It's going to be exciting as the games unfold. Annelie with us shortly. 7:02 drive. It's 11 minutes to 4.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
So let's get to that research then, conducted by the Department of Basic Education, but with inputs as well from Dr. Gabrielle Wills, who is a senior researcher at Stellenbosch University's Research on Socioeconomic Policy Unit. In essence, if you look at the performance of grade 10 boys as they move all the way through to matric, compare it to the performance of grade 10 girls in South Africa, the girls outperform the boys, and substantially so. So what's going on? Dr. Wills, welcome, and thanks very much for your time. Is this consistent with any international trends, or is South Africa doing something that may not necessarily be unique, but is very specific and that we need to get our heads around?
Thanks for having me on the show. Look, there are interesting trends that are emerging, say, in the past 10 years internationally. It's not uncommon in, for example, high-income countries for girls to be ahead of boys in various aspects, although there might be differences depending on what the subject in question is. And it's not uncommon for there to be large differences in, say, repetition rates, which would cause these different differential patterns that you've just talked about now. And it's not uncommon for there to be these gender differences that emerge. And South Africa is certainly not an outlier in this regard.
Please carry on.
Yeah, but there are some areas where we are a bit of an outlier, and I can kind of elaborate on that a bit.
Yeah, we'll do that right now, if you will. I mean, where do we have problems that are specific?
So, I mean, if we kind of move back to the foundation phase, where a lot of these kind of patterns, the source of where these patterns kind of start to begin, right? South Africa is quite an country in that we have the highest pro-girl gap in reading, and in fact, in numeracy of all countries that participate in the Progress in International Literacy Study or in the Trends in International Mathematics Study in the world at a grade 4 or 5 level. And so I think this is really interesting. It's a really large gap in favor of girls in both reading and then to a lesser extent in mathematics, but it's still large. And I mean, girls are ahead of boys in reading by the age of roughly age 10 when the PIRLS assessment is done in grade 4. That gap is roughly equivalent to about an entire year of learning.
I want to jump to sort of grade 10, grade 11, grade 12. Now, if I've heard you correctly, Dr. Wills, certain gaps are already opening up at a much, much younger age, grade 4, grade 5, as I think I heard you say. Yes. Do we, though, in looking to address this, need to go beyond education and pedagogy? And I'll tell you what I mean by the question. Is this also to do with the difficulties young men experience being young men in South Africa? Where, for example, having to feel that you are not excelling in school is something that's not just an academic problem, but might be an emotional one.
Sure. So, I think that there would be these additional compounding factors that youth would experience in adolescence, and that would be gender specific. I mean, you can't move away from that possibility.
Yes.
But if you really want to tackle the issue, you've got to go back to the foundations. Mm-hmm. Because we see, for example, that boys are more likely to repeat in grade 1 than girls are. And this is because they are behind academically. And you unless you kind of plug the gap much earlier on in the struggles that boys are having at school relative to girls, who also struggle to a lesser extent, you've got to plug that up much earlier on, and then we'll deal with a lot of these issues later on that they experience in adolescence.
So let me again drag in all these other issues that may not have anything to do with it, but one more go if you don't mind. I mean, sure. we have very serious issues with teenage pregnancy in our schools, but that clearly isn't holding in general as a larger group young women back from excelling. I mean, would they be doing even better if this was an issue we were able to deal with much more effectively?
Perhaps, right? I always caution people to go, well, where's the heart of the problem, right?
Yes.
So we can go put a lot of energy into these programs that would scaffold in a sense. So I mean, yes, there's teenage pregnancy, it happens, right? But it's actually not extraordinary, and girls are allowed to go back to school, and they most of the time do go back to school, right? And so we can spend a lot of effort and time on programs such as that, which is all very well-meaning, but the heart of the matter is that we've got to deal with the problem much earlier on. Yes. And we cannot get away with it. We cannot get away from needing to do that in the South African context. And we've got to plug the gaps earlier on that we're seeing. That said, I mean, I think we could pay a little bit more attention to why, to really monitoring at a provincial level, these differential dropout patterns and repetition patterns at higher levels amongst girls and boys. But fundamentally, we're not going to really address the problem until we get the foundations right for girls and particularly for boys.
So let's go back then to those foundational years that you keep bringing us back to, Dr. Wilson. Let me ask you this. Do we have any idea why in those early years girls are starting to open up a gap with boys? I mean, what's happening in grade 4, 5, and 6 that is launching us down these paths?
Unfortunately, we don't know enough of the reason for why this is actually occurring. So
yes,
what we do know, for example, from studies like Thrive by 5, which assess school readiness in a sense amongst children that are between 50 and 59 months, you can see the gaps, for example, already as early as that age between boys and girls with respect to emergent numeracy and literacy. But those gaps are widening through the school system. So even if we compare boys and girls in grade 1 and then we track the same boys and girls to grade 4, the gaps enlarge within the schooling system. But we don't understand why this is actually happening. And it's going to require considerable more qualitative research and digging into not just the within school factors, but potentially the social factors that might be driving some of these issues within the South African context.
Thank you very much. This is all fascinating stuff. We need to know more about it, and we can do so with your help. First, let me thank Dr. Gabrielle Wills joining us from the University of Stellenbosch. And then my questions to you. I mean, we can approach this from many, many different ways. I suspect we're going to get bits and pieces of insight rather than a final answer. But firstly, teachers, if you're working with younger learners or older learners and you're seeing patterns where girls are outperforming boys, do you know why? And maybe you've had a young man in your life. It could be someone you have a guardianship relationship with. It could be your son. It could be a brother or a cousin. And if you've seen them hitting these kinds of difficulties, becoming particularly pronounced around grade 10, give us your insights. And then I guess, maybe even first prize, if you've got boys and girls in your family and you're observing any of these things or seeing things that maybe suggest a counter argument, please call us with that as well. There's a huge amount of knowledge, raw coal-face knowledge, if I can call it, chalkboard knowledge. Let's get a better analogy. But if you've seen this, experienced it, dealt with it, call us, and I really want to understand this better, and we've made a good start thanks to that conversation with Dr. Wills. 702 Drive, you get us on 072 702 1702, 2 minutes to 4.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
EFF leader Julius Malema has announced his intention to appeal a court ruling which found him guilty of discharging a firearm in public. This morning, the East London Magistrates Court convicted Malema under the Firearms Control Act. The case relates to a 2018 rally in Mdantsane where he allegedly fired shots into the air in close proximity to thousands of EFF supporters. While Malema has been convicted, his bodyguard Adrian Snyman has been acquitted of all charges. Malema has rejected the verdict, insisting that the court's decision is flawed.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Do you want to be a legal eagle or get your foot in the legal industry? The Law Society of South Africa has something for you. Register for a 1-year national certificate in paralegal practice with a preferred legal education institution since 1998 and start your journey as a paralegal today. To register or find out more, visit lssalead.org.za. That's lssalead.org.za. The Law Society of South Africa.
You could spend 10 minutes waiting for that file to download, or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For his 2024 Ford Ranger, 57-year-old Andy now pays only 1,083 Rand a month. And for her 2020 Hyundai Tucson, 48-year-old Felicity pays just 836 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
This is EWN.
Natim Tetwa's family seeks answers on his death in France, and uncertainty remains over when exactly the Malanga Commission will resume. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. A relative of Natim Mthethwa has travelled to France to get clarity on the circumstances surrounding his death. The late South African ambassador to France was found dead at a Paris hotel yesterday. Police in France are handling the probe into his death. His family has told EWN that they are yet to meet to formally discuss his passing. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
Mourners have been coming in and out of Natim Mthethwa's home here in Kwambonambi in northern KwaZulu-Natal. His family say they are still processing the news of his death, describing it as hurtful. His uncle, Musa Wokuphila Mthethwa.
Usazohlangana umndeni njengoba nomakoti naye elena eFrance.
The family is yet to meet as his wife is still in France. We gather our thoughts to chart a way forward. We are only talking because you found us here, but there is no formal program yet.
An ANC delegation from the province is also expected to visit the family tomorrow to pay their last respects to their late colleague. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Kwambonambi.
The East London Magistrates Court has found that EFF leader Julius Malema's attempts to avoid answering questions during his firearm discharge trial worked against him. Malema was found guilty of endangering people and property when he fired shots into the air at an EFF rally in Mdantsane in 2018. Handing down judgment today, the court criticized Malema's conduct during cross-examination. Alpha Ramushwana reports.
Do you know of anybody that fired shots at this particular stadium, apart from what we've seen here in this video?
I'm not a Holy Spirit, I won't know if there was shots fired before I arrived.
That was just one of the examples cited by Magistrate Dwanet Olivier in her judgment, saying Julius Malema evaded several questions during cross-examination. She says Malema essentially shot himself in the foot by the way he responded to the state's questions.
Mr. Malema had evaded many questions that had warranted a reply. It became evident that the replies were entertaining, but however, the pertinent questions remained unanswered. And these type of answers did not do accused one any favors.
Malema will return to court on the 23rd of January next year for pre-sentencing procedures. In the meantime, he says he plans to appeal the ruling. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, East London.
Justice Minister Mamoloko Kubai says State Capture Commission-related court cases are making progress with billions already recovered. Kubai says these include high-profile matters such as the Transnet Transaction Advisory Contract, Bosasa-related prosecutions as well as Eskom-linked cases. Kubai was responding to a written parliamentary question on the number of government officials who have been charged for state capture-related crimes. Babalondenze has more.
Minister Mamoloko Kubai says the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, IDAC, continues to pursue priority state capture and corruption-related cases in line with the recommendations of the State Capture Commission. She says currently 11 cases involving 23 government officials and one politician are before various courts across the country. These include high-profile cases involving the country's biggest state-owned entities like Transnet and Denel. Kubai tells Parliament that most of these cases have been set down for trial dates this year and in 2026, with significant progress recorded in securing restraint orders through the Asset Forfeiture Unit, including an order with over 1 billion rand in the Transnet matter. Kubai says happening parallel to the enrolled cases, the IDAC is also conducting investigations into 9 major matters involving 20 government officials and 4 politicians. Babalondenza, Eyewitness News.
The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry says an announcement will be made later today about when it is likely to resume its proceedings. The commission adjourned this morning after its key witness, crime intelligence boss Dumsani Khumalo, fell ill. Khumalo has been testifying before the commission, which is probing allegations of corruption in the police service since Monday. Spokesperson Jeremy Michaels.
All that we know is that he was not feeling well. He was engaging with the council, with the evidence leaders, but due to the fact that he wasn't feeling well, we have adjourned for the day.
And anti-government protesters in Madagascar have called for fresh demonstrations and a general strike seeking to force the president to step down. The call comes after nearly a week of action by youth-led movements. A crowd marched today in the northern part of the country, calling for the president to resign over poor service delivery. This week, the president announced the dismissal of the entire government, but the protesters say this is not enough. Gold is trading at $3,867.24 an ounce. The rand is at 17.18 to the dollar, 23.22 to the pound, 20.20 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $66.03 a barrel.
Accident scene in Alberton on the R59 southbound before Kliprivier Drive, causing about a 30-minute delay all the way from Swartkoppies. Also, Edenville. Heading towards Bedfordview, traffic remains sluggish. R24 westbound from Edenville Road to the Gilulis interchange and leaving Santon. Expect some delays on Catherine Street. This is between Santon Drive and Greyston.
In your sport, Adeslam Wadu praises Orlando Pirates' unity as they record their 9th consecutive win. Hansi Flick tells Barcelona they'll have to be at their best from the start against PSG in the UEFA Champions League. And Cricket Australia to trial injury substitutes.
A fine day in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 13 degrees, peaking at 27. Pretoria 14 and 27, and Vereeniging 12 and 28 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. A relative of Natim Tetwa has travelled to France to get some clarity on the circumstances surrounding his death.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 7 minutes past 4. Quite a lot going on, as you heard a moment ago there from Mbali Dlamini. We'll be following up on a number of those stories and also continuing some of the conversations that we began in the first hour of the show. Now, one of the things we were discussing is why are girls performing generally so much better than boys in school? We heard from Dr. Gabrielle Wills at the University of Stellenbosch saying the gaps start opening up as early as grade 4. I see a couple of you've sent us voice notes on that. We've got a couple of calls as well that I'm looking forward to chatting to in a moment's time. Also, James got us talking about tipping at petrol stations. He was raising the concern that 4 different garages he's been to, filling stations owned by 4 different companies, you can no longer add your tip to your card payment for the fuel that you've just bought. So maybe you've got a thought on that as well. Do give us a call. Coming up in the next half an hour, the Patriotic Alliance, you might recall last week, said they would leave the government of national unity if issues around the reinstatement of PA Deputy President Kenny Kunene to his position as Joburg MMC for roads and transport was continued to be blocked. Well, they have not pulled out of the government of national unity. Indications are that they won't, but my impression is the issue involving Mr. Kunene has not yet quite been solved. Babalo Ndenze keeping an eye on that, and we'll hear from him shortly with an update. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the Women's Cricket World Cup, 50 over cricket, South Africa in action on Friday in their very first game against England. All of this playing out in Sri Lanka and India. We'll talk to one of the team's rising stars, Annerie Dirksen, with us at about 4:15. Let's hear some of your voice notes.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. I find it interesting, the topic that you're talking about. I have certain friends that I know if they suggest something to me, I need to watch it. And others, if they suggest something, I know I need not watch it. Louis from Pretoria.
Good afternoon, John and 702 Land. So just on the topic of series. So a couple of weeks ago at work, they were talking about this Breaking Bad. And by the sound of it, I was caught, because you're just listening to the storyline, and I said to them, please don't say anything. I'm going to start watching this show today. Went home, told my husband about this show. We watched the entire 6 seasons. Each season had, I think, about 16 episodes. We binged watched that. There was no way that we were not going to continue and finish this Breaking Bad. What an awesome series that we've watched on Netflix. So the recommendation was a good recommendation from my colleagues at work. It was awesome. If you haven't watched Breaking Bad, my suggestion would be that you go and watch Breaking Bad. Have a good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah, I have watched it, and I had a similar reaction when someone told me what it's about. I thought, oh, I'm not so sure about that. And I agree with you. Terrific television. Let's get into then this gender gap opening up with the young boys and girls and then young men and women in our schooling system. A couple of you are calling if you want to call as well. 011-883-0702. First caller on the line from Sandton. Good afternoon to you.
Hi, John. Good afternoon. You know, I had an incident with my son's school. I won't mention the name, not too long ago. And, you know, what I found interesting was that there were a few dynamics that I think were amiss from the school, which I think contribute to this gap. So, for example, you know, in his class, you'll find that there's 11 of them. He's in the grade quadruple 0. And there's 8 girls, 3 boys. And then of the 3 boys, he just happens to be the one with more energy. And then he's often singled out. And, you know, often there's this jump to, oh, it could be he's got ADHD, he's hyperactive, he's this and he's that. And I feel like in today's society, I don't want to say like there's an attack, but there's just a shift in when I grew up, this boys will be boys, you know, sort of handling of young boys, to this almost like they're trying to formulate every boy to just be similar to how, you know, girls would act in class, how girls would sit down, how girls would react. And often you find teachers don't have the patience with an active boy as they did in our day. So I wonder if that contributes to almost the attitude that teachers have towards young boys versus girls.
Thank you. I mean, it's an issue that I haven't given any thought to, but it's on the table, and let's get your view. Calling from Pretoria West, Mushere, good afternoon.
Yes, John, how are you this afternoon?
Yeah, good, you.
All right, man. John, look, man, an interesting topic. John, look, we have been talking about this issue the past 2 weeks. John, it's true, also during my schooling days, girls were been performing boys. But the interesting part is if you go to the labor market, you'll find that males are occupying senior positions. Then the question it comes back to say that what is the difficulty? Is it during the interviews where males will outperform women, or what is the criteria? Or is it because of the issue of masculinity? Because of previously we know that men will manage this corporate, women we don't trust them to do that. Because normally even the numbers, women are more than men. But when you go to corporates, men are the ones who are leading this corporate.
Mushere, thank you, calling us from Pretoria West. One more before we give you the latest traffic. Salome or Salome, I'm not sure which it is, but the message is an interesting one. Thank you. I've been wondering for the past 3 years about the girls versus boys performance. My daughter is in grade 6, and for the past 3 years, for the top 10, out of those top 10, 7 or 8 are girls. It even goes with handwriting, reading, and concentration in these lower grades. Very interesting. I think we're starting to pick away at some of the realities of this. Your contribution, of course, still to come and very welcome when it does. 072 702 1702, 14 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
This Eyewitness News traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Delays out in Alberton. Let's get the details with Karabo Chale.
Yeah, that's heading towards Vereeniging. Accident scene on the R59 southbound before Kliprivier Drive, still causing more than a 30-minute delay all the way from Swartkoppies, while in Edenvale, traffic sluggish heading towards Bedford View. That's R24 westbound. between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis interchange. In Boksburg, roadwork still causing delays heading towards Brakpan. That's the N17 eastbound between Rondebold and Carnival City. Leaving Sandton, expect some delays on Catherine Street between Sandton Drive and Greyston. In Calvin, also slow-moving traffic heading towards Midrand. That's leaving Alexandra. N3 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Butler interchange, and driving through Alexandra heading towards Germiston. You can expect about a 30-minute delay. N3 southbound from the Butler interchange all the way to Van Buren. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a family driving to their new home, carrying boxes stacked with plates and toys and memories. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a new beginning, a fresh start on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Would you like to come to the 702 launch of Mandy Wiener's new book? I strongly recommend that you do. Midday Report host Mandy Wiener has written a book about the negotiations that took place after last year's election, which in turn led to the formation of the Government of National Unity. The new book is called The Deal. Clement Manyatela will be interviewing Mandy about the book on his show on Wednesday, the 8th of October at 10 a.m. Would you like to be part of the studio audience and at the same time visit 702 and watch Clement interviewing Mandy about what is a truly fascinating book? If so, please send us an email to contact@702.co.za. Let me give you that again. Contact@702.co.za to be part of the studio audience for Clement Manyatela's Mandy Wiener book launch interview. Next week on Wednesday at 10 a.m. 702, let's walk the talk. We'll see you there.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for butcheries, restaurants, beauty salons, and more. Here's Gert.
I definitely have peace of mind that Business Outsurance is protecting our business. I do think Business Outsurance are the best insurance company out there, and they gave us the best quotes.
Switch to Business Outsurance, and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Welcome to the brand new days.
Sail the world with Norwegian Cruise Line, with more to see, more to do, and more to enjoy. Plus, upgrade your holiday with NCL's More at Sea for premium beverages, specialty dining, and much more. Think international cruising. Think NCL. For the best deals available, visit ncl.com or contact your travel agent. Restrictions apply.
Welcome to the brand new days.
For those 2 a.m. checkouts or the late night shifts, for the last minute orders and the beginning of the month rush, for the 9 to 5 that becomes a 5 to 9. You don't clock out, and neither should your payments. Pay Fast by Network, always open for the dreamers, the doers, for you. From e-commerce to in-store payments and business funding, we have you covered. Sign up today at payfast.io.
No one will ever understand just how much your car means to you. The way Bumblebee carried you through road trips, or how Ruby Gold has been there for every big moment. This Name Your Car Day 2 October. 702 is teaming up with Stellantis, the global automotive powerhouse behind brands like Citroën, Alfa Romeo, Peugeot, Opel, Jeep, and Fiat, to give you a chance to win your share of 20,000 Rand. All day on 702. WhatsApp a voice note of your car's name, the story behind it, plus your name and ID number to 072 702 1702. We could call you all day with 5,000 Rand to celebrate your bond. Thanks to Stellantis on 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, one thing that was predicted to happen, not predicted, but it was very much on the political timetable for this week, was the Tuesday deadline by which the Patriotic Alliance may withdraw not only from the Government of National Unity, but from local equivalents. That hasn't happened, but has the problem that prompted that been properly resolved? At the heart of this cliffhanger that the PA introduced us to last week was the fact that Patriotic Alliance Deputy President Kenny Kunene, in their view, ought to be automatically returning to his position as MMC for Roads and Transport at the Joburg Metro once the inquiry into his conduct had been concluded in his favor, obviously. Well, that didn't happen, and that's why we went to the edge of the cliff. I'm not sure how close to the edge, but certainly there was the real possibility that the PA would withdraw. So they are still there. They've been chatting to the ANC, but has the fundamental issue involving Mr. Kunene been resolved? Babalo Ndenze, our EWN reporter, joins us now because he's been following closely the talks and their outcome. Babalo, where do we stand? They are talking, it would seem, productively, but is there a final decision reached that Mr. Kunene goes back to his desk?
Good afternoon, John. No, there is no final decision yet. There are more talks expected, follow-up discussions between the PA and the ANC in Johannesburg. There was a meeting yesterday or last night, with the ANC delegation that included, Tata Morero, the mayor, and other senior members of the ANC, Amos Masondo. And basically that meeting was supposed to basically just discuss one agenda item, and that is the reinstatement of Kenny Kunene as, the MMC for roads and transport. But this has not really happened. But the PA is satisfied with that meeting, despite the reinstatement matter not being finalized completely. Kenny Kunene, addressing the party last night, says, the agenda for that meeting had to be expanded to include the whole of Gauteng. So we're talking about other municipalities in Gauteng. Ekurhuleni Metro is one where they say the ANC came up with some interesting proposals. The PA also had its own proposals, and it also expanded to Mfuleni, as well as West Rand and Tshwane. And it looks like now the PA might benefit, not just in Johannesburg and having Kenny Kunene reinstated after these meetings have concluded by Friday, according to Kenny Kunene. They'll be having a follow-up either tomorrow or Friday. So they're saying that these other metros and municipalities and local, municipalities in Gauteng are now part of this discussion, and it's basically an expanded discussion. And the PA is happy about this because it looks like they might benefit. Some of their members might also be, benefiting as far as appointments are concerned in a similar fashion to Kenny Kunene's reinstatement in Mfuleni or in Tshwane and Ekurhuleni. So they will be having this follow-up meeting. I think tomorrow, is the day that Kenny Kunene mentioned during that Facebook Live discussion with his party members. But he says the meeting went very well, and they're happy with the posture of the ANC. They dealt with the issue of the threat to resign from the GNU or the provinces or the municipalities. So they've dealt with that matter. They say that they've put that aside. They've found common ground, but they did at that meeting also express their dissatisfaction with the ANC and how it's conducted itself over the last few weeks since Kenny Kunene's resignation from council. But we do know that he was sworn in as a councillor again on Friday, and this does, John, look like a good sign for Kunene's reinstatement, but it has not been confirmed completely at the moment.
Thanks very much, Babalo Ndenze, with that update. So amicable, productive, all the things that people say when talks are going well. Friday, a new deadline. We'll keep an eye on that story. Babalo keeping us in the picture, I'm sure, through the rest of the week. 24 minutes past 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
So let's focus our attention now on World Cup cricket. South Africa's women Proteas team have done very, very well in limited overs competition. They've never, though, managed to get all the way and win an ICC, a global cricket title. The men have shaken that particular hoodoo off for themselves, winning the World Test Championship earlier this year. Need I remind you of that if you follow cricket. But how's it looking for the Proteas women out in India and Sri Lanka where the tournament is being played? Annelie Dirksen is an all-rounder in the team. She has been honoured by the ICC as Emerging Cricketer of the Year for 2024, and she's on the line to us. Annelie, welcome, and thanks very much for your time. I'm sure Friday can't come soon enough. How are the preparations going?
Thank you. Yeah, no, we are very excited. It's been raining quite a bit here, but fortunately the rain sort of subsided for a bit, so we could get our training session in today. And yeah, I think everyone was excited to hit the ground running. I think we spent a lot of time in Sri Lanka, and now we're finally in India and sort of at the stadium and at the ground where the first match for us will take place. So yeah, Friday, like you rightly said, can't come soon enough for us.
I mean, you're playing one of the tournament favourites. Australia have won it the most. England next with 4 victories. We have been able to beat England in the past, but what's the key to being able to do it again?
Yeah, I think it's been said a lot that this will probably be the most closely contested ODI World Cup in women's history, and I think it's quite right. England's a quality side with quality players, but I think our balance at the moment is also pretty great. Yeah, I'm fully backing us to take this one. For very long, we've sort of been focusing on ourselves and putting processes and stuff into place to make sure that we can perform to the best of our ability. And now the focus has sort of shifted to England. And yeah, we've been looking at a couple of things they've been doing and what they might throw at us. And yeah, come up with a couple of plans. So yeah, hopefully that all pays off. But yeah, we've had good prep coming into this World Cup, and yeah, hopefully we can make South Africa proud and yeah, make ourselves proud, I guess.
You're out in a place called Bar Sapara. Obviously, there's practice, there's team talks. But how do you fill the time as the hours weigh heavily before the first ball is bowled? Is there much to do, or you guys keeping it fairly tight and sticking to your group?
Yeah, I've got to say our schedule has been pretty jam-packed. We've had a lot of warm-up games and traveling days, and yeah, moving around in India is not the quickest thing. So yeah, travel do take some of our time. Yeah, and then obviously a lot of team meetings and analysis stuff. So yeah, we've been quite busy, but also we've had some time to go out for a coffee or two. And yeah, we do spend a lot of time together as a group. I think we're fortunate to be pretty close friends. Yeah, I think it can either go one or two ways if you're away from home and together and in each other's space. And yeah, fortunately for us, we've grown quite close, and yeah, we're pretty good friends on and off the field. So yeah, spending a lot of time together, and yeah, hopefully we can sort of bring it into the games as well.
So, I mean, just a final thought. Much is made of first game. I mean, if you lose the first game, obviously you're not out. We're not into the knockout stages yet. But you really do want to hit the ground running. How are you as a team looking at this first game? Is it, really got to win this one, or are you just saying we've got a game, we've got a plan, we're going to execute the plan, and the result will take care of itself?
Yeah, I think it's more of the second. You don't want to put too much pressure on yourselves. Although you rightly said you do want to throw that first punch and get off to a good start in this World Cup. But yeah, we know the first game is not the be all end all, although it's very important for us. I think every game in this World Cup will be very important for us. And yeah, I can't take anyone lightly. But yeah, for now, our focus is definitely on that first game against England, and we're really hoping to get off to a good start. But yeah, we've sort of been really focused and narrowed in on controlling the controllables and sort of controlling what we can control and what we can do. So I'm sure every player in the squad will give their absolute best on Friday, and yeah, hopefully it falls our way.
Thank you very much, and the very, very best of luck from all of us. Annelie Dirksen is a right-hand batter, medium-fast bowler, and named the ICC Rising Star, ICC Women's Emerging Cricketer of the Year, to give it its correct title. They're in action on Friday. We wish them the very best. 4:29.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, seemingly a day of pretty good numbers.
Yes, thank you, Donald Trump, and the United States politics today. The global, gosh, Stephen, one day. The shutdown of the U.S. federal government having a bit of an impact on the gold price, and that's sort of helped us. That's helped our shares. Platinum shares doing very nicely as well. And then a little bit of help from Capitec too. So the JSE All Share up 0.82% at 108,822 points, was just shy of 108,000 yesterday. So a new record again today. Financials up 0.82, industrials up 0.46, and resources up, surprise, surprise, 1.6% on the day. So Sibanye up 4.48, Implats up 3.73, Tiger Brands up quite nicely, and Life Healthcare up nicely too. Capitec, they're up nearly 2.5% on the day, John. So their earnings were up by 26% in the 6 months to the end of August. Their non-banking operations, think insurance, selling lotto tickets, things like that, becoming a lot more important to the group. Shows you how much momentum they have. Also reporting that 91% of their transactions were cashless, either digital payments or through cards. And that movement away from cash does seem to be gathering some steam. Netcare up 2.25 after their update yesterday, which did show that they were doing quite nicely as well. I do just need to explain what has happened with Naspers very quickly. So if you look at their share price, it's down 80%. Now don't panic. It's okay. China's fine. What happened is that the 5-to-1 stock split took effect from today. So if each share has been split into 5. So, John, if you had one Naspers share yesterday, well, you would have, A, been a very lucky man, and B, you would have 5 shares today, but the value of Naspers that you held was the same. So if the share price yesterday was 50 Rand, today, and you had one share, today instead of one share worth 50 Rand, you have 5 shares worth 50 Rand, and they're each worth 10 Rand.
So if I have a 500-gram banana bread loaf and I cut it in 5 slices of 100 grams each, I've still got 500 grams of banana bread. I'd rather have a Naspers share than a banana bread loaf, but there we go.
Well, since that constitutional court ruling, you could put an additive into your banana bread, which might enjoy a happier afternoon. I don't know.
Okay.
So the idea is to make it easier to buy shares in Naspers. That's what this is really about. So yes, on paper their numbers are a nonsense today. It'll take a little while to sort itself out. But it's also a comment on what the sheer size of that share price actually came to be. Exxaro down 5.62% and Old Mutual down 5.39%. Looking in the US, so the main indices there lower because of the US federal government shutdown. There was also weaker than expected private payrolls data. The other issue about the shutdown of the federal government, John, is there are concerns now about whether the U.S. Federal Reserve will get the data it needs on the economy to make the correct decisions. The Dow Jones is down 0.12%, the Nasdaq is down 0.46%, the S&P 500 is down 0.35%. The gold price, $3,872.96 an ounce. Platinum, $1,570.73. It's down a little bit. Brent crude down a little bit too at $65.08. And then the rand to the dollar strengthening because the dollar is weaker. 17.18 to the dollar, 20.16 to the euro, 23.18 to the British pound. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Right, let's get ourselves out into the news arena once again and find out what's happening in other parts of South Africa and in other parts of the world. Mbali Dlamini.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Police have been conducting raids across Cape Town in connection with fraud and corruption involving municipal contracts. In total, the tenders amount to 1.6 billion rand, but the extent of the fraud is yet to be determined. There have been search and seizure operations at 26 locations since yesterday morning. They targeted businesses, the homes of municipal officials, and locations linked to individuals and entities that were awarded contracts by the city of Cape Town. The police Andre Trout says the raids follow information from a whistleblower as well as investigations.
The operation, which stems from whistleblower information and preliminary investigations, is aimed at securing crucial evidence to establish the scope of alleged irregularities. SAPSIS reiterates its commitment to fighting corruption and protecting public resources and urges the public to allow investigators the necessary space to conduct their work.
The city of Cape Town's Lutando Jalibongo.
In line with the city's zero-tolerance approach to fraud and corruption, City Forensic Services took swift action to assess and report the matter to SAPS, who then undertook a search and seizure operation. Operations took place at various addresses, including business premises, municipal buildings, and private residences. More details will be made available by SAPS as the investigation progresses.
Justice Minister Mameloko Kubai says xenophobia and nationalism are threatening the solidarity that the G20 aims to foster. The presiding officers of Parliament have been meeting in the Western Cape as they look to strengthen global cooperation. Kubai delivered the keynote address on behalf of President Cyril Ramaphosa today. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
National Assembly Speaker Toka Didiza says parliaments have a role to ensure collaboration around the world to deliver people-centered solutions to global problems.
Legislatures are not only the guardians of democracy, but also architects of inclusive development.
Justice Minister Mameloko Kubai says the P20 presents a unique platform to strengthen global collaboration, to exchange ideas and to resolve the pressing issues of the time.
It is therefore incumbent upon us as parliaments to bring our institutions closer to the people, to restore the bonds of trust, and to make all citizens part of the effort to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals.
She says for many, global solidarity is far removed from the everyday realities of access to employment, healthcare, education, and a decent quality of life. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Claremont.
The South African National Taxi Council has reiterated its commitment to embracing the emerging era of digitalization in the sector. The council marked the first day of Transport Month today at the Smart Mobility Summit in Sandton. Santaco says it's working on integrating new technologies to improve the industry and provide safety for passengers. Santaco spokesperson Matigidi Phala acknowledged that the industry is plagued with many issues, including violence, which must be addressed.
We do not shy away from the challenges of violence, the fragmented regulatory landscape, as well as the perception challenges that hang heavy on our image. Because to be the engine of the nation, one must also accept the responsibility of maintenance, of innovation, and of reinvention.
And in a developing story from the United States this afternoon, a high-rise building in New York has partially collapsed. The fire department says it is investigating the cause of the collapse in the Bronx. There are no immediate reports of injuries, but a search and rescue mission is currently underway. A fine day in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 12 and 14 degrees and highs of between 27 and 28.
Accident seen in Alberton on the R59 southbound before Kliprivier Drive, still causing about a 30-minute delay all the way to Swartkoppies. There's also slow-moving traffic that's in the Calvin area heading towards Midrand. N3 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Butlu interchange. And in Sandton, leaving the Sandton area, expect some delays on Catherine Street between Sandton Drive and Grayston.
The top story in EWN. Police have been conducting raids across Cape Town in connection with fraud and corruption involving municipal contracts.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
And I think what you're saying about the vulnerability, it also requires that the dynamics and the relationship are such that you're confident that your partner's not going to shame you for not making an income.
Exactly. It's also very important to understand that money isn't just numbers. It's highly, highly emotional. And it represents security, freedom, and love, So if there's issues around the security and the money disclosures and stuff like that, people will not feel safe in that relationship.
Independent financial advisor Dedi Shabalala.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
The all-new Audi A5 has arrived with a panoramic sunroof that changes transparency and a B&O sound system built into the headrests. Every detail makes driving feel like an art form. Visit your Audi dealership, book a test drive, and experience the Audi A5 from 14,499 Rand per month with a guaranteed future value. Visit audi.co.za for more. T's and C's apply. Brought to you by Audi Financial Services, a division of Volkswagen Financial Services South Africa, Pty Ltd, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Spin for the win in the thrilling Hollywood Bets Spinner Zonke Jackpot Race. Stand a chance to win a share of 3 million Rand in cash. Feel the rush of fiery fortunes every Wednesday, Friday and Saturday between 8:30 and 10:30 p.m. when you bet R2 or more on selected habanero slots. Spin up for your shot at big wins. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Smart Steve from Momentum, hello.
Smart Steve, my daughter just turned 18, right? And now she's got a license and a boyfriend.
You're worried about her safety. With Momentum Safety Alert, she can access help 24/7.
Is that the emergency response version of Curry in a Hurry?
For sure. She can get help at the touch of a button for free.
Free? For all that and all?
Visit momentum.co.za or call 0860 006 784. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is an authorized non-life insurer. T's and C's apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John and the team. My series, which I wanted all my classmates to watch, was Prison Break, because we were at varsity and we had to do all kinds of things to get it to play because it was not streaming yet. So yeah, Prison Break. But I got into it. But as the seasons progressed, I was like, I'm over this thing. It just got too mucky. I stopped watching it. This is Yudisa in Midval.
Good afternoon. Just to add to your discussion on the tipping of petrol attendants at the filling station, I'm currently a garage owner of a filling station in the Benoni area, and has been so for the past 20 years. So tipping is obviously at a discretion of the customer to the attendant based on the service. And I still welcome tippings to the attendants from the customers, which the attendants are highly appreciative of and highly motivated for. And it's something we still do. And if there's any tippings that's done from the speed point terminals, from the customers' cards, we do make a note that it's a tip to the attendant, and obviously awareness that it's from the customer.
Okay, so this is obviously not true and the case at every single filling station. So anyone else with insights into this, please do give us a call. We were prompted earlier, if you're wondering where this comes from, by one of our listeners, James, who said that 4 different filling stations he's been to would no longer accept the adding of a tip to a payment with a card. And wondering if that's the case. Now we're hearing from someone who owns a filling station that no, they're very, very cool to go ahead with it. So not uniform, but let's get more of a picture on that if we can. 17 minutes now to 5.
EWN Sport.
Orlando Pirates doing well and obviously thinking about how much better they can do and how long they can keep this winning streak running. Tolakele Mganga with the details.
Thanks so much, John. Adeslam Adu is hoping that Orlando Pirates' team spirit will continue to progress until the end of the season. That's after they recorded their 9th consecutive win in all competitions. They claimed a 2-0 victory over Chivas Galaxy to move to 3rd in the Betway Premiership standings, having accumulated 15 points from their 7 matches.
I used a metaphor to say that I will have a headache, but it's very important that all the players are involved in the project and they know exactly what the expectations and a part of the impact players. I think the most important is the club, is the brand, is Orlando Pirates, and every players who are coming on the pitch, they have the duty to give 100% their best for the club.
Tonight's only game will see Kaizer Chiefs hosting Amazulu. Interim co-coach Khalil Ben Youssef has discussed the importance of turning FNB Stadium into a fortress.
This season FNB we lost only 1 game and we make a draw and we won 2 games. But it's coming the day where it will be like you said. With work everything will come everything and we'll make everything and try to fix. And it will be the day that it will be difficult for the team when they come to FNB Stadium.
In selected UEFA Champions League games taking place tonight, Monaco hosts Manchester City, PSG clash with Barcelona, while Arsenal are at home to Olympiacos. William Saliba says this is a big season for the Gunners, who finished as runner-up in the Premier League and then were knocked out in the semi-finals of this competition last campaign.
We're always close, but yeah, if we don't win, it's because we miss something. And like every year, we're getting better. And this year, we had a lot of experiences from the last 3 seasons. We know that we're always close. So now we know how the Premier League is. We know how the Champions League is. So we have to stop talking and prove on the pitch that we have to win.
At the World Cup, Australia women were all out for 326 as Ashley Gardner top scored with 115 against New Zealand women. In response, the White Ferns are at the crease on 82 for the loss of 3 in the 21st over. They still need 245 runs for victory. Batting is Halliday on 6 alongside Devine on 35. And Cricket Australia will trial injury substitutes in the first 5 rounds of their domestic Sheffield Shield competition. Teams will be able to replace a player if they sustain any injury or become unwell before, during or after play. That's up to close of play on day 2 and at the referee's discretion. To maintain fairness, the opposition side will be able to make a tactical substitution. Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 14 minutes to 5, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Bridgestone Tyres, prepared to perform whatever the terrain. Let's go down to Alberton with Karabo Chale. That's where we have a snag, and there's unfortunately some others as well.
Yes, John, there's a truck accident scene. This is on the R59 southbound before Kliprefeer Drive, still causing about a 30-minute delay all the way from Swarkopi, so try to avoid that route if you can. Edenville, also expect about a 20-minute delay on the R24 westbound. That's heading into Bedfordview between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange, while in Boksburg roadworks heading towards Brakpan, causing about a 30-minute delay on the N17 eastbound between Rondebold Road and the Carnival City. In Sandton, also expect some delays on Catherine Street between Sandton Drive and Greyston, while in Calvin heading towards Midrand. That's leaving the Alexandra area. There's slow-moving traffic on the N3 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Butlu interchange. And finally, driving through Alex, heading towards Germiston, expect about a 30-minute delay on the N3 southbound between the Butlu interchange and Van Buren. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Weekdays on the highway, weekends on the trail, in rain, on tar, or halfway up a gravel pass. With the new Bridgestone Jeweler All-Terrain AT002, you don't have to choose. Bridgestone, prepared to perform whatever the terrain.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
12 minutes to 5 on 702 Drive. We were talking about things that have either gone wrong for us or for other people that we know. And this question came out of that conversation. What's the most expensive mistake you have ever made? I'll go first. I was supposed to go to the UK on a trip that was for the first 5 days business, a fundraising trip for the NGO that I run. And then after that, a holiday where I was meeting up with my wife. And literally on the day I was meant to fly out, something made me feel uneasy. It's now 4:30 on Friday. I'm flying on Friday night. I go and have another look at my passport, and I find my visa to get into the UK is out of date by a year. And they followed a whole sequence of things where if I had to cancel my air ticket and all that, eventually I ended up paying extra fees to get an emergency visa, etc., etc. It was a lot of money. It was a huge amount of money. And I almost had medical bills from the number of times I kicked myself. But anyway, all ended up really well. But it was a very expensive and stupid mistake. I still kick myself a little bit about it. Just not as hard. How about you, Karamo?
Well, it was my first car that I bought. It was a VW Beetle 1976 model, if my memory serves me right. And it just always broke down, John. I would fix one thing and then next week something else is broken. And I was just running out of money, ended up asking my parents for money to fix it. And they just ended up also not taking it anymore.
Yes.
And I was like just stuck. And I eventually just had to sell it because this thing just never moved for a week or so.
Cars can be an expensive mistake. Tolakele, made any?
I have. Sometime last year, I was invited just to watch a Curo event for the weekend that's organized transport and everything. All I just needed to make sure is like my driver's license was sorted because they were going to get me a car. Mind you, for the past 3 months, I'd been driving. Every once in a while, I'd be stopped by police officers, never bring anything up. I get to the place, the car rental place, they say to me, "Oh, your license is expired."
Oh, no.
And the place where I was staying and at the airport was 50 minutes. So I had to Uber myself around that whole time. By the time I got home and I checked my bank statements, I was just like, "Ma'am, stop depending on police to tell you when your license is done. Just put it in your calendar and just keep a record of it."
One more mistake. Saving the best or worst for last. Rifue Litsua, what have you done?
Good afternoon, John, and to the rest of the 702 family. I don't think I can top any of this. So my mistake wasn't my mistake. It was a friend's mistake. So she was buying airtime for 200 Rand. Instead of 200 Rand, she bought for 2,000 Rand. So she was trying to get people to buy this airtime from her so that, you know, she can get her money back. But she was not successful because people was like, "But that's dumb. Why would you do that?" Suffer. They didn't say it like that, but, you know, I could feel the spirit behind was suffer.
Oh, okay. Well, that's time to check up on whether you made big mistakes with your friend choices. Anyway, tell us, most expensive mistake you've made, and did you manage to put it right? I'd be interested to know. Call us with that on 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. It's 9 minutes now to 5.
John Perlman
on 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Still to come on 702 Drive after 5, we'll look at the implications of the verdict in the East London Magistrates Court in the firearms-related charges against which Julius Malema, EFF leader, has been found guilty in court today. Implications on two levels. The one is, how does the law play out in these regards? In this regard, because there are very clear legal prescriptions around whether somebody convicted in court of an offence that I think carries a sentence of 2 years or more without the option of a fine may not be a member of parliament. The question is, when does that kick in, and is that stayed if the appeal process gets underway? So that's the first thing we'll look at, the law and how that plays out. And then, of course, the political significance of this, if any at all. Sandile Swana, political analyst, is our guest for that. We'll do that all after 5.
John is on X
at John Perlman.
But it's that time of the week, we do it every Wednesday, where we talk about the money you have and the money you need and the money that you need to look after perhaps better than you are now. Tax comes into that, and on Minding Your Money today, we're going to look at what the tax implications are of something that many of us got involved in with COVID, where we began working from home more. Certain home and office expenses can come into play as you put together your tax returns, but it's more complicated than just simply making a list. Paul Rulofs, certified financial planner, joins us as he always does on a Wednesday. Paul, welcome, and thanks very much for your time. Home office deductions, people have probably been making those already, but there are some other things that you need to weigh up. What are the key things that need to be considered? Good afternoon.
Hi there, John. Yes, you rightfully said that, COVID did accelerate what was inevitable. More and more of us are now working remotely away from home. Some of us partially, some go into the office once or twice a week, others permanently away. And you'd be losing out if you didn't actually claim those deductions from SARS in the sense of the home office expenses that you're entitled to. Basically, what happens is you apportion a percentage of the office towards your total residence. So it's normally seen to be 10 to 15% as acceptable.
Right.
And what happens is if you nominate, for example, 10% of your everything under the roof towards an office, that 10% then accelerates through, was also applied to your bond repayments, your lights and water rates, taxes, the maintenance and insurance of the property, all the expenses that are incurred by the property itself. You're entitled to take 10% of that in terms of the allocation for your office space. And that's a pretty useful thing because it does reduce your taxable earnings. But here's the downside of that. You know, there are no free lunches with SARS.
Yes.
And what actually can happen and does happen, John, is that when you sell your property one day, your residence, SARS is going to look at it and say, but hang on a moment, it wasn't solely and exclusively a residence. It was also used for business use. And therefore, we have a mixed usage. And they would want to then say, well, hang on, you took 10% away from us in terms of a deduction. But now when I sell, the capital gains tax that's applied to the sale of your residence, we want 10% of that. And that's actually quite a standard, view from SARS. And you're going to now you have to be in a position where you now have to really qualify and quantify the fact that you've got to now make a provision of 10%. You know, when you sell your house, John, 2 million rand or up to 2 million rand is an exemption against your capital gains on a residence. And what SARS is likely to do is say, well, hang on, you've got 2 million, but we want 10% off on that. So you're not going to get quite the 2 million. You're going to get 10% away. We'll take, for example, if it's 100,000 rand, we're going to take a million rand. We're going to take 100,000 away and treat that as a capital gain. So you're not going to get the full residential exemption. SARS is going to be in a position where it's going to claim back that 10% through the capital gains tax.
So, I mean, I guess what we all have to do is work out against which formula you end up making a bit more money, because the capital gains tax thing you're warning about may kick in 5-10 years. Does it all turn on really when you are intending to sell? Because the other is money that you get back a little bit quicker, which you can in turn reinvest if one wants to be very particular about getting the calculations right.
Well, yes, again, maybe that's a good financial planning exercise that we can do for you to see how worthwhile the tax deduction is in the short term relative to the capital gains tax that would be applied in the longer term. And I think that's quite a useful calculation to get through. But I think, John, most people will want to claim it now because it's a real value right now. Households are battling, I'm working from home, and therefore I can get that benefit right now. I think the message out to our listeners now is that be prepared, however, because into the future, you are setting yourself up for a calculation on capital gains tax. And it's something that you can make a provision for. Remember, too, that capital gains tax, too, also has an inclusion rate of 40,000. So there are some deductions that you can get. You know, the sale of the property one day too is commission based because of an estate agent. You've got renovation costs and things you can deduct off that as well.
Yes.
So those will also apply to the capital gains or the potential capital gains that you've got. So it can be mitigated a bit, but you're quite right. I mean, it does deserve a calculation, but more importantly, please expect a calculation that will be applied by SARS. And you must keep very, very clear and supporting documentation that supports your deductions that you have got into the future for it.
Thanks so much, Paul Roelofse, certified financial planner, helping you with the complex business of minding your money. We'll do it with Paul again at the same time next Wednesday, 2 minutes to 5.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
What is the binding vision of South Africa and South Africanness? I think we lost that. We have degenerated into a place where we are nothing more than a transactional space. I say this with tears in my eyes because the potential, whom we could have become, is a distant memory. There are some of us who still feel the fire. We are able to rise above our partisan transactional nonsense that produces people who can steal 2 billion rand.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
When I say insurance, you say pineapple. Insurance.
Pineapple.
Insurance.
Pineapple.
Insurance.
Pineapple.
Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
PG Glass Repair, PG Glass Replace.
Hi, I'm Telane. Got a tip. Our advanced repair technology fixes it fast with the best results. No insurance, we offer affordable cash deals.
For quality you can trust, visit pg.co.za today.
This is EWN.
Madlanga Commission of Inquiry to resume hearings on the 13th of October, and some political parties welcome Malema's guilty verdict. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry will resume its public hearings on October 13th. The Commission has released a statement this afternoon saying the break is due to the unavailability of Commissioner Sesi Baloyi. Baloyi will be attending to duties as a member of the Judicial Service Commission. Proceedings were adjourned earlier today after crime intelligence boss Dumsane Khumalo fell ill. Khumalo was set to continue his testimony, having started on Monday. The Commission is probing allegations of corruption as well as infiltration in the criminal justice system. To this now, some political parties have welcomed a court judgment convicting EFF leader Julius Malema of contravening the firearms laws. The East London Magistrates Court found Malema guilty of breaching the Firearms Control Act after he fired shots into the air during a rally in 2018. The DA and Freedom Front Plus say Malema's conviction demonstrates that he acted recklessly. Alpha Ramashwana reports.
DA police spokesperson Ian Cameron says Julius Malema firing shots at a rally in 2018 reflects the violent nature of the EFF.
This confirms the violent and criminal culture that the EFF promotes. South Africa's firearm laws must apply equally, and no leader should be allowed to flout them.
The Freedom Front Plus adds that the ruling demonstrates that no one is above the law, but expressed disappointment that sentencing will only take place next year. Meanwhile, Patriotic Alliance leader Gayton McKenzie had this to say earlier this week.
If they say guilty, then please, Malema Itlos is my fellow bandit. I will not allow you guys to go for my Padit Alliance. Me and Malema will be Padit Alliance.
Malema intends to appeal the ruling, claiming the charges against him were racially motivated. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, East London.
Let's stay in the courts. The state in the Phala burglary matter has made an application for a trial within a trial. This after one of its witnesses withdrew a police statement they previously signed. The witness, who is an old friend of the accused, told the court today that he is illiterate. 3 people are charged with breaking into President Cyril Ramaphosa's farm and making off with $580,000 in cash. Thabiso Koba reports.
During his testimony, the witness says when police arrived at his home in February 2020, they came with a prepared statement which he reluctantly signed. The witness says he doesn't know the contents of what he signed because he cannot read or write. State prosecutor Nketheni Munyai has denied the witness's version of events.
In that regard, Your Worship, the state would like to then request the court to direct that a trial within trial be held so that the state can lead evidence to prove that the statement was made by the witness.
A ruling on the trial within a trial application will be handed down electronically tomorrow. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Limpopo.
To this now, a relative of Nathi Mthethwa has travelled to France to get clarity on the circumstances surrounding his death. The late South African ambassador to France was found dead at a Paris hotel yesterday. Police in France are handling the probe into his death. His family has now told EWN that they are yet to meet formally to discuss his death. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
Mourners have been coming in and out of Nathi Mthethwa's home here in Kwambonambi in northern KwaZulu-Natal. His family say they are still processing the news of his death, describing it as hurtful. His uncle, Musa Wokuphila Mthethwa.
Usazohlangana umndeni njengoba nomakoti naye elena eFrance.
The family is yet to meet as his wife is still in France. We gather our thoughts to chart a way forward. We are only talking because you found us here, but there is no formal program yet.
An ANC delegation from the province is also expected to visit the family tomorrow to pay their last respects to their late colleague. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Kwambonambi.
And the South African government has called for the protection of the global Sumud flotilla sailing through a volatile area of the Mediterranean Sea. The civilian-led humanitarian mission is heading to Gaza with urgently needed aid. It has reportedly come under surveillance by unidentified drones, raising fears of possible military intervention. The Department of International Relations has called for compliance with international law. Spokesperson Crispin Piri.
We urge utmost restraint and caution against any unilateral actions that could escalate the situation or endanger human life.
Government has further warned that any use of force would constitute a breach of international legal norms and fundamental human rights.
The safety, security, and physical integrity of all unarmed participants aboard the flotilla, including South African citizens, are of paramount importance.
Gold is trading at $3,867.24 an ounce. The rand is at 17.18 to the dollar, 23.22 to the pound, 20.20 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $66.03 a barrel.
Heading towards Vrydag, we're still dealing with that accident scene in Alberton, R59 southbound before Kliprivier Drive, and this is still causing about a 30-minute delay all the way from Swartkopies, also in Edenvale. Heading towards Bedfordview, expect about a 20-minute delay R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulies interchange, and in Boksburg roadwork still causing about a 30-minute delay N17 eastbound between Rondebold Road and Carnival City.
In your sport, Kaizer Chiefs looking to improve on goal scoring as they take on AmaZulu in the Betway Premiership. Springboks focused on the job at hand against a wounded Argentina. And Gail Monfils to retire from tennis after the 2026 season.
A fine day in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 13 degrees, peaking at 27. Pretoria 14 and 27, and Vereeniging 12 and 28 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry will resume its public hearings on October the 13th.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes past 5 on 702 Drive. Coming up over the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to look at the judgment that took place in the Magistrates Court down in East London. EFF leader found guilty of charges under the Firearms Act. There are legal implications, needless to say, but they also connect with the political implications. First off, we're going to pick our way through how the law is going to work, particularly in regard to that part of South African law that says people who are convicted of crimes for which they get a sentence of 2 years or more, and which do not, and the judgment doesn't offer them any option of a fine, may not hold office as a member of Parliament. Key question for me is, at what point does that kick in, before or after the entire marathon of the appeal process has actually been run? Lawyer Ulrich Roux will be joining us to give us some clarity on that, and then the wider political implications of this judgment. We'll talk about that with political analyst Sandile Swana. Please feel free to join in and help us reach a conclusion. Give us a ring on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. Earlier today, we asked you what has been the most expensive mistake that you've ever made. Sounds like a few of you have made a few. Let's hear.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, Mr. John and team. Hope everyone is well there. Percy in Kempton Park. Hey, bro, John, mine is very, very sad. 27th of January 2023. 5 numbers that I had in mind was meant to play the Powerball jackpot, which was like over 100 million rands. Got to a retail store, meant to play. My card declined. I don't know for whatever reason it was. And then I just left it. Guess what happened the next day? 5 numbers were pulled. Never placed a bet. Ha! What an expensive mistake. Could have changed my life, bro, John. Oh well, it's what it is. Have a lovely one, Percy in Kempton Park.
Hi, John, Mike in Orange Group. I think one of the biggest mistakes, costly, was to book a return ticket for my fiance. And instead of booking like she was supposed to come like the following Saturday, I ended up booking the following month on a Saturday the following month, which was a month away. And I only realized after I've clicked send. I mean, I've paid by my credit card and all of those things that, oh, grace, I've done a mistake like that. I tried to reverse it, but it couldn't. Though in the end, the airline assisted me at a fee to rebook to the date I wanted, but at a fee. It was okay than to lose out all that bunch of money at the end of the day. So, yeah, I think in total I had to pay an extra 450 on top to rebook to the proper date, as I could not get the refund back. Yeah.
Keep those coming, please. I thought I might feel better about my big, expensive mistake, which was not recognizing that actually I was about to leave for London with an expired visa, but I'm still not feeling any better. So keep them coming. You never know. 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. 11 minutes past 5. Let's just keep you updated on what's happening on the roads.
EWN Traffic.
This eyewitness traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. We've got delays out in Boksburg, problems in other parts of Gauteng as well. The key thing, though, is we do have Karabo Chale, who can tell you what else you might do.
Well, that's in the Boksburg area heading towards Brakpan Roadworks, causing about a 30-minute delay on the N17 eastbound between Rondebolt and Carnival City, while in Edenville, there's still that 20-minute delay heading towards Bedfordview R24 westbound from Edenville Road to the Kilulis interchange. In Alberton, there's that accident scene involving a truck R59 southbound before Kliprivier Drive, also causing about a 30-minute delay all the way from Swartkoppies. In Sandton, expect some delays on Catherine Street between Sandton Drive and Greyston, while in Kelvin heading towards Midrand, that's leaving Alex. Slow-moving traffic, N3 northbound from Marlborough Drive to the Butlu interchange, also driving through Alexandra, heading towards Germiston, expect about a 30-minute delay, N3 south from the Butlu interchange all the way to Van Buren. And finally, in Bryanston, traveling towards Randburg, there's about a 20-minute delay, N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Malibongwe Drive. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clever late excuse number 87. My GPS took me to the wrong address. That's a good one. But fortunately, with the Outsurance pointsmen on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The Outsurance pointsmen, easing traffic congestion and getting you there quickly and safely since 2005. Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702. Show them some love online using hashtag PointsmenLove. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
It's an important day at the Madlanga Commission. General Dumisani Khumalo, who is the head of crime intelligence, but also convener of the political killings task team, is testifying. Both General Mkhwanazi and General Fanima Samola said this is the man who's going to be adding more information and bringing some evidence from the claims that have already been made by both of them. So let's hear what General Dumisani Khumalo has for us.
It is my view that the attempt to disband the political killings task team was due to the influence of a particular organized crime cartel over the Ministry of Police as well as the South African Police Service.
Clement Manyatela.
9 to 12 on 702.
Calling all golf pros. Hollywood Bets invites you to step onto the green. Tee up, take a swing, and enjoy glorious golf action from electrifying competitions and thrilling live tournaments. Get ready to conquer the fairway and chase epic fortunes. Ready to master the odds and experience your crowning moment? Bet now on all the excitement and prepare to make your hole-in-one shot to sensational success. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008.
Last orders coming through during your drive home or at midnight. Your customers check out whenever, wherever. With seamless payment integration and over 18 ways to get paid, PayFast by Network is built to keep up. And when it's time to grow, funding with Easy Advance helps you take the next step. Always open for late nights, for early starts, for you. Sign up today at payfast.io. PayFast has partnered with TimeBank to offer funding to your business.
No one will ever understand just how much your car means to you. The way Bumblebee carried you through road trips, or how Ruby Gold has been there for every big moment. This Name Your Car Day 2 October. 702 is teaming up with Stellantis, the global automotive powerhouse behind brands like Citroën, Alfa Romeo, Peugeot, Opel, Jeep, and Fiat, to give you a chance to win your share of 20,000 Rand. All day on 702. WhatsApp a voice note of your car's name, the story behind it, plus your name and ID number to 072 702 1702. We could call you all day with 5,000 Rand to celebrate your bond. Thanks to Stellantis on 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
Would you like to come to the 702 launch of Mandy Wiener's new book? Midday Report host Mandy Wiener has written a book about the negotiations that took place after last year's election, which led to the formation of the Government of National Unity. Her new book is called The Deal. Clement Manyatela will be interviewing Mandy about the book on his show on Wednesday, the 8th of October at 10 a.m. Wouldn't you like to be part of the studio audience? It's going to be a fascinating hour. And while you're there, you can visit us here at 702, watch Clement interviewing Mandy about this excellent book, and of course, get a real sense of what goes on right here at our headquarters. If so, please send us an email to contact@702.co.za. That's contact@702.co.za to be part of the studio audience as Clement Manyatela interviews Mandy Wiener about her new book, The Deal. Next week on Wednesday at 10 a.m., 702. Let's walk the talk.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive still to come on the show. We've got some music for you a little bit later. We've also been trying to follow up on the story from Cape Town about raids that the police have been conducting in regard to 1.6 billion rand in contracts issued by the city of Cape Town. We've just got off the phone, not me, of course, but Jonathan Fairbairn and Rifue Litsua. They've been chatting to people at the city of Cape Town saying, please come on and tell us what this might be all about. City saying not yet ready to give a media interview, but we're going to keep trying and seeing who else we can find to try and get some more information about that. Hopefully we'll be able to do it either later in the show today. If not, listen out for that on 702 tomorrow, right here on 702 Drive. It's 18 minutes past 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Asked you a little bit earlier about the most expensive mistakes that you made. VX in Bedford View says, the most expensive mistake was writing off my car in 2014 while speeding. The insurance declined to settle. I had to pay around 360,000 rand over 3 years. That is a lot of money. That is a lot of money indeed. Expensive mistakes, send them please to 072 702 1702. Colin. This is, well, let me read it. It's a little bit of a stretch. About the Julius Malema firearm discharge in 2018 and 7 years later, suddenly a case against him. Could it be because he wants the president to testify at the Madlanga Commission? Short answer, no. This case has been going on long before there even was a Madlanga Commission. And secondly, who comes to the Madlanga Commission is not up to Julius Malema or any other MPs. And thirdly, the likelihood of the president being called to the Madlanga Commission, I would have thought is extremely strong. The likelihood of the president being called to the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Commission, which is what perhaps you are referring to, Colin, I would have thought is extremely strong as well. I think you might be joining, putting 2 and 2 together and getting 11 on this one. 702 Drive. It's 20 minutes past 5.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Right, let's get into some of the issues then coming out of the courts. There are some legal issues certainly to resolve in my mind, and we're going to do them, we hope, with Ulrich Roo, who's founder and managing director at Ulrich Roo and Associates. Mr. Roo, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. My understanding is that somebody convicted of a crime for which there is a sentence of 2 years or more without the option of a fine may not hold a position like Member of Parliament. If I'm correct in that very simplistic summary, would that kick in now and affect Mr. Malema immediately, or is it something that would be stayed depending on whether the appeal process gets underway?
Hi, John. Thank you for having me. Yes, it's actually a period of imprisonment of 12 months or longer without the option of a fine, and that would only become applicable once Mr. Malema has been sentenced. So he's now been convicted of the 5 firearm-related charges that he was facing, and only upon his sentence being handed down would that prohibition become applicable. So one would have to wait for the sentencing to be finalized. In addition to that, if he does file an application for leave to appeal, that will also stay that prohibition. So only if his appeal was to fail and he was sentenced to a period of imprisonment of 12 months or longer and his appeal is unsuccessful, would he then be prohibited from being a member of Parliament. So one can expect him to be a member until his appeal is either dismissed or he doesn't go on appeal.
Yes. So, I mean, if you look at his options for appeal, it could go to a higher court, presumably in a high court in East London. It could then go on to the SCA and possibly even to the Constitutional Court. Would that be the limits of his options, which arguably are not very limited at all, because that could go on for years?
Yes, indeed. So any application for leave to appeal does stay that prohibition. He would first have to go to the Eastern Cape High Court. If he is successful there, then that would obviously mean the end of the matter. If he's not successful, he would then have the option of approaching the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein. If he's not successful there, he would also have the option of going to the Constitutional Court. So one can expect these appeal processes to carry on for a couple of years. You are 100% correct.
So the other issue I wanted to just canvass with you, speaking to his supporters, but obviously using that platform to speak to a wider audience, Mr. Malema was highly critical of the judge, the magistrate in the matter, raised questions about her competence, or I think it's fair to say drew conclusions about her competence, and suggested that her conduct in this matter and her motive was racist rather than the execution of her legal duties. Would that have any bearing, or are judges mindful, while they might be unhappy about and someone in their court saying things like that, if it's not said in the court in the course of a trial, can they take that into account in any way, shape or form? Arguably, they shouldn't at all.
No, he must still be sentenced by that very same magistrate who convicted him today.
Right.
So if Julius Malema was my client, I would advise him against making any public comments about the magistrate, especially, one heard the comments of him saying that she was a racist and that's why she convicted him. I would strongly advise him against that. And the reason why I'm saying that is because when a person is sentenced, a large factor that is taken into account is whether that person is indeed now showing remorse for his actions. He's been convicted by a court after hearing evidence from both the state and the defense. And does he show remorse? In other words, should it be regarded as a mitigating factor? It is clear today, listening to his comments that he made in his speech to his supporters outside of the court, that he's not remorseful whatsoever. And this is going to pose difficulties for him come the sentencing proceedings. He will have an opportunity to adduce mitigating factors during his sentencing. And if he can demonstrate that he is remorseful for his actions, that would definitely be regarded as a mitigating circumstance. Unfortunately, is now immediately gone to criticizing the magistrates, accusing her of being racist, accusing her of making a political conviction. It's definitely not going to count in his favor. During the appeal process, the appeal court is bound by the record in the court of first instance. So in other words, all of the evidence that was led during the trial in the East London Magistrates Court will be taken into account. So arguably, his remarks in the public domain will not be taken into account unless the state bring an application to adduce further evidence specifically pertaining to his sentence. So should he appeal his sentencing, saying that it was too harsh and he shouldn't have been handed such a harsh sentence, then the state will definitely rely on the comments that he is making in the public domain to show, well, the sentence was just because he's not a remorseful person. He still believes that he did nothing wrong, and accordingly, a long period of imprisonment is required to rehabilitate him. So, some very strategic decisions that need to be made by both him and his legal team at this stage.
Ulrich Roux, thank you. Founder and Managing Director at Ulrich Roux and Associates. Of course, there are political implications as well out of this judgment. We'll explore them a little later in the show with Sandile Swana, political analyst, who will, I'm certain, have some interesting ideas on the what next for both Julius Malema and the EFF. Possibly, of course, some people may say this has no real consequence at all, but we'll certainly look forward to Sandile Swana's views coming up a little later on 702 Drive. It's 27 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, very good afternoon to you. The market closed, the money show tonight. Lots to talk about. Over to you.
Indeed, John. Thank you. Good afternoon. Yeah, another strong day for the JSE, driven partly by what's happening with the shutdown of the U.S. federal government, but also, I think, some of the action here, particularly from SPAR and Capitec. The JSE all share up 0.2% at the close at 108,650 points. Financials up 0.71, industrials up 0.61, resources up nearly a full percent. So the big winner on the day, Telkom at the end of it, up 3.5%. Life Healthcare up 3.5% as well. Sibanye Stillwater up 3.53%. They did confirm today that the new CEO, Richard Stewart's now formally taken over. He takes over from Neil Froneman, also confirming the appointment of Mduduzi Bolose as the firm's new executive vice president of business development. Barlow World saying that the takeover from its CEO, Dominic Sewela, and the Zahid Consortium has now become unconditional. There was one outstanding condition for the deal to go ahead. It was about Competition Commission from the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa. The acquiring consortium, so Sewela and Zahid Consortium, have waived that. That means shareholders who have not accepted the offer, they have until next Wednesday to accept the offer of 120 Rand a share. Getting very interesting with Barlow World. Does begin to look more and more like the deal is going to go through. Capitec doing strongly on the day. Their earnings up up by 26% in the 6 months to the end of August. Their CEO, he's relatively new, John, he'll be on the Money Show this evening, and we'll ask him how he's found the job so far, how people are paying, in other words, what devices they're using, and also why they've had to employ 400 people just to stop fraud. Astonishing what's going on in those sectors at the moment. Just a reminder, Naspers did their 5-to-1 stock split. 1 share yesterday is 5 shares today. 1 share of 50 Rand yesterday is 5 shares of 50 Rand today. So they're priced down dramatically by nearly 80%, but it's a kind of nonsense number once you look at it like that. And then SPAR up 2% on the day. They had an update saying that they had seen an uplift in the second half, 2.8% growth year on year. That is compared to a first half, which saw a slight decline in group sales. In the US, obviously, the situation there dominated pretty much by the shutdown of the US federal government. The Dow Jones is now turning positive. It's up 0.04%. The NASDAQ is down 0.01%, and the S&P 500 is down 0.03 at the moment. The gold price, $3,874.09 an ounce. It's up 0.4%. Platinum is down quite significantly, John. It's $1,558.88 an ounce. But when you consider where platinum has been, that's not a huge surprise. And Brent crude is lower on the day, $65.10. The rand stronger because of a weaker dollar, because of the shutdown, 17.20 to the euro, 20.17 to the British pound, 23.18. Lots to come on the Money Show. So we'll speak to the CEO of Capitec. We'll talk about PMI, the Purchasing Managers Index, which sort of shows good news, but there is a declining employment index there, which does worry me. We will talk a little bit about diversity in the workplace. We will also, as your shapeshifter this evening, be speaking to Alison Collier, the MD at Endeavour. Basically, they help smaller companies. She's had an amazing career, actually, all of the big corporates around the world she's been at. And John, maybe a little late for me to say this, but we'll celebrate Happy Coffee Day as well. If you want to be unhappy, look at the price of it. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Okay, Stephen with us with a great lineup from 6 to 8, the Money Show right here on 702. It is 29 minutes to 6, so let's get you the very latest eyewitness news with Mbali Dlamini. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Chairperson of Parliament's International Relations Committee, Supra Mahumapelo, says the death of Ambassador Nathi Mthethwa must be properly investigated to avoid speculation about how he died. Mthethwa's body was found at a Paris hotel yesterday after checking into a room on the 22nd floor. Mahumapelo says he called Mthethwa's wife after it was initially reported that he could not be traced. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
Former Northwest Premier Supra Mahumapelo has recalled the early political activism years he shared with Nathi Mthethwa to managing the political turbulence in the province together following the ANC's 2007 Polokwane conference.
So in the ANC, we are just taught to be selfless. So you strive to be selfless for the rest of your life. And this is what Comrade Nathi was doing, from the student movement into the ANC Youth League.
Mahumapelo says Parliament's International Relations Committee was looking forward to working with Mthethwa to advance diplomatic and economic relations with France.
Our hope is that the French authorities, working with the South African authorities, they will investigate this matter to the fullest so that we don't make speculations, but rather get what is the actual cause of the death.
Mthethwa had served as the country's ambassador to France for less than 2 years, after more than 2 decades as an MP and cabinet minister. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Claremont.
The Gauteng government says it's finalising an alternative site for the Acacia police station in Tshwane to improve staff accommodation and enhance policing. Premier Panyaza Lesufi, along with the Provincial Police Commissioner Tomi Mtombeni, as well as city officials, met earlier today to finalise details related to the new site and plan the relocation process. It follows Lesufi's oversight visit to the police station last week, where he expressed dissatisfaction with the state of the facility. Spokesperson Elijah Mhlanga says the police station has long struggled with limited resources. He also added that it's amongst 52 identified priority police stations in the province.
Premier Lesofie reaffirmed the provincial government's commitment to working with the South African Police Service leadership, the city of Tshwane, as well as other stakeholders to ensure that the community of Akasa and surrounding areas receive a better policing service as soon as possible.
In the Western Cape, Sandparks has urged the public to avoid the area between Duffelberg Road and Deer Park, where firefighters are still busy with mop-up operations. Fire crews battled winds, blistering conditions and a rapidly moving fire line last night to protect homes at the foot of Table Mountain. Sandparks spokesperson Charles Patlane says the fire has been contained, but firefighters remain on the scene.
Our crew will be on the ground, just extinguishing some of the embers that we have here. There's a sense that there might be rain later today, which will assist us if it does come through. But we will have a crew overnight. We'll bring in some crew to monitor this fire overnight.
The city's Fire and Rescue Services spokesperson Jermaine Carlser has pleaded with the public to be cautious as the new fire season approaches.
It is a timely reminder to the public of how easily wildfires can start as we head into the warmer months. We appeal to everyone to do their bit for fire safety, whether vegetation or structural.
And more details have been revealed about the partial building collapse in New York City today. It's suspected there was a gas explosion at the residential building in the Bronx. Fire Commissioner Robert Tucker says everyone has been evacuated with no injuries reported.
We ran our dogs over this pile of bricks that is behind us, which is the structure that collapsed. It is a ventilation shaft connected to the boiler, which collapsed. We believe that's where the explosion occurred.
In your weather, a fine day in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 12 and 14 degrees and highs of between 27 and 28.
Ekurhuleni traffic roadwork still causing about a 30-minute delay. That's in Boksburg, N17 eastbound between Rondebolt and Carnival City. Edenvale also heading towards Bedfordview. Expect about a 20-minute delay. R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Giluli's interchange. Alberton traveling towards Vereeniging. We still have that accident scene. R59 southbound. That's before Kliprivier Drive, causing about a 30-minute delay all the way from Swartkoppies.
The top story in EWN, Chairperson of Parliament's International Relations Committee, Supra Mahumapelo, says the death of Ambassador Natim Tetwa must be properly investigated to avoid speculation about how he died.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
And I think what you're saying about the vulnerability, it also requires that the dynamics and the relationship are such that you're confident that your partner's not going to shame you for not making an income.
Exactly. It's also very important to understand that money isn't just numbers. It's highly, highly emotional. And it represents security, freedom, and love, So if there's issues around the security and the money disclosures and stuff like that, people will not feel safe in that relationship.
Independent financial advisor Dedi Shabalala.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
So you thought you were building a business in this economy? Good luck. But day by day, somehow it grew. You became payroll, procurement, PR, and pressure valve. You kept going when the freezer didn't freeze, the bucket didn't budge, and the bank balance barely blinked. What's that saying again? What doesn't kill your business makes it stronger? Or at least it should be that. So you thought you were building a business. You weren't. It was building you. Because this isn't just what you do anymore. It's who you are. And you don't trust just anybody to protect it. Chat to your broker about Old Mutual Insure Business Insurance. Protect what built you. Old Mutual Insure Limited is a licensed FSP and non-life insurer.
Experience extraordinary with the new iPhone 17, 256 gig from Vodacom, Zanzi's winning 5G network. More delightful, more durable, and now available. Get yours on a 3 gig red core plan from $899 per month over 36 months, plus a free extended warranty. Be the first to get it today. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom. 702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Mr. John, the worst one I've done in
quite recently was I sent 42,000 Rand to the wrong account. Luckily, I stuffed up the number so badly that it bounced back in a couple of days. But it was a bad couple of days, a lot of sleepless nights.
John Johan here from Centurion. I was introduced to someone by a friend of mine who informed me I should be buying cryptocurrency, i.e. Bitcoin. This is probably about 10 years ago. I think we could have bought it for like 5 or 10,000 Rand a Bitcoin. And yeah, we all know what the price of that's doing. So massive regret there.
Yeah, the ones that got away. Hey, the most expensive mistakes that you have made. And some of you are sharing with us some really difficult and in some instances painful stories. We took out a personal loan, says this listener, of 200,000 Rand to buy a car from a family member. Turned out the car was a stolen car. Police took the car and we had to pay the loan. 20 minutes now to 6.
EWN Sport.
So Kaizer Chiefs play tonight, looking to pick up on the form that they had a little bit earlier in the season. What are you hearing from the camp, Tola Kele?
Well, John, they can move into the Betway Premiership's top 3 with the win over AmaZulu tonight. The Glamour Boys will look to end their 2-game winless run in the league with success over Usutu, while co-coach Khalil Ben Youssef has discussed their need to improve their goal scoring. They haven't scored more than 1 goal in their 9 games across all competitions this season.
The only problem we have until now is the last third. We create a lot of opportunity every game, but we are in a situation we don't score a lot of goal. Like the last game against Marumo Galans, when you score the first goal and you get then 3 opportunities to score the second goal to finish the game, you don't score. You would be always in difficult situation. You can concede any moment. It happened this game. If you remember, also against Polokwane City, was a little bit frustrated when the players start to joke when we finished the game, and we was angry against them because this kind of game you have to finish.
In selected UEFA Champions League games, PSG clash with Barcelona while Arsenal are at home to Olympiacos. Mikel Arteta has addressed criticism of the Gunners this season amid suggestions they aren't capable of winning trophies.
Well, I'm aware the moment I step in this chair that what I want with this football club is to win major trophies. That's it. Nobody else has to put that line into us. That's the ambition, the first day, and the excuses. Yeah, they've never been part of my life.
Monaco hosts Manchester City, who are Bernardo Silva's former club. The midfielder has now discussed whether the Citizens can be considered one of the title favourites.
It's difficult to say. I would like to give you an answer, but the reality is in the last 6 months, a lot of things have changed. You need time to adapt to the ideas, to get back to the level where we were. And that's a conversation for us to have with you guys maybe in February, March, to see where we are. What we really want is to improve day by day.
At the World Cup, New Zealand women are chasing 327 for victory against Australia in the second game of the tournament. An update from the White Ferns innings sees them on 163 for the loss of 4 in the 35th over. They need 164 runs in 94 balls for victory. Batting is Sophie Devine on 75 alongside Maddie Green on 20. Rassie Erasmus says there will be no complacency from the Springboks as they take on Argentina. That's in their final rugby championship match. They've scored 110 points in their last 2 matches, and victory at Twickenham would see them successfully defend their title.
We're all obviously chasing the perfect game. Last Saturday wasn't the perfect game. I mean, 60 minutes into the game was actually in the balance, but the way the set phases go and the way the defense went, eventually guys could use the individual skills within the structure. So, yeah, we definitely don't box them in, but different players got different skill sets. When Andre is playing, we don't tell him exactly how to play. The same when Grant's playing or Sasha is playing. So I don't think there's a shift in terms of our mindset.
And former world number 6 Guy Monfils will retire at the end of next season, nearly 20 years after making his tennis debut. His victory at the Auckland Classic this year made him the oldest player to win an ATP Tour title at 38 years and 4 months. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Out onto the roads we go at 17 minutes to 6. Karabo Chale with the latest.
Well, John, starting in Ekurhuleni, Boksburg roadworks heading towards Brakpan are still causing about a 30-minute delay on the N17 eastbound. That's between Rondepole Road and Carnival City. In Edenvale, there's also about a 20-minute delay heading towards Bedford View. That's the R24 westbound from Edenvale Road to the Kilulis interchange. In Alberton, we're still dealing with that accident scene on the R59 southbound before Kliprafir Drive, still causing about a 20-minute delay from Swarkoppies. If you're in the Bryanston area heading towards Roodepoort, bumper-to-bumper traffic, N1 southbound between the Butlu interchange and Malibongo Drive. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, let's continue then our consideration of the implications of that East London Magistrates Court decision in regard to the firearm charges faced by EFF leader Julius Malema. He has been found guilty of those charges. We got some sense of the legal implications of that from lawyer Ulrich Roo. But let's look at the politics now, and welcome to 702 Drive, Sandile Swana, well-known political analyst. Mr. Swana, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time. From what Ulrich Roo was saying, the political implications of the legal situation that Julius Malema finds himself in now, i.e. the possibility that he could be disbarred from acting as a member of parliament, those are unlikely to manifest in any way for a good number of years. If that is indeed the case, and he's able to continue with the political work that he does, consequently, currently, I mean, what are there any political implications, either up or down, for either him and the EFF out of today's judgment? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, John Perlman, and the listeners of 702. Thank you very much. Of course, there are implications. There are implications given that this action that has caused this sentence, this verdict to come out happened in 2018. This operation of that gun happened then. So now, today, there are people, even at the White House, who are calling, why is Malema not arrested? And so on and so forth. So there are people who want him in jail anyway. He may not have known that in 2018 to the degree that he knows it now, that Donald Trump certainly and his crew want him in jail. So that is going to be one of the packages of campaigning by the EFF to say that the executive arm of government under Ramaphosa perhaps is kowtowing to the Make America Great Again movement and all that goes with that. So that's one thing on that front. On the other front, obviously, in terms of their own political propaganda, the very idea of taking a gun to a peaceful rally and firing it there is an additional distinguishing icon of some sort of the radicalism of Malema and the EFF. And so they are going to try and repackage that as well and try to say this is a form of radicalism and that there is a reactionary aspect from the establishment that is trying to neutralize Malema like they neutralized Steve Biko and Chris Hani and those sorts of things. So they are going to take it in that direction to try and build political capital out of it.
Sorry, please. No, please continue.
Yeah, so from that perspective is there. Remember that I'm not aware of any step-aside rule per se in the EFF that when you are charged or convicted that you should step down and all that. And obviously before, when they went for this hearing of the judgment, they were already saying that this thing is politically engineered. So they were preparing their constituencies to say this is another terrain of political struggle.
I want to be sure I understand properly, Mr. Swana, your first point. were you saying that in the negotiations and relationships between South Africa and the United States, this will be a matter of that plays in some favor for those negotiations? Or are you going further and saying that the prosecution of this matter, firstly, and secondly, the outcome has been influenced by South Africa's difficulties on a trade and diplomatic level with the United States?
No. I think all of us in 2018, if we're all sincere and very honest, we didn't anticipate that video that was shown, that there'll be Cyril Ramaphosa will be sitting in the Oval Office and watching a video of Malema and Kill the Boer and all that sort of thing. So it would be far-fetched for me to come and say that, no, it was engineered in that way. No. But opportunistically, even any other politician could, in passing, point out that in any case, because of his rascal behavior, or rogue behavior, he's now gotten caught up in the system because the South African law works anyway. But it would be unwise for Cyril Ramaphosa to claim openly any victory in this, because that would build political capital for the EFF anyway.
Thank you very much. Fascinating insights. Sandile Swana, political analyst. Give us your thoughts on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. It's 10 minutes now to 6 o'clock.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
So, we've got some time for some music. Now, we were chatting a little bit earlier about whether you might have a song that actually brings you good luck. Now, it could be that you associate a particular piece of music with a moment of good fortune. I know we've had sometimes guests on Songbook and a Songbook and a Dish who pick a particular song because that's when they met their partner on the dance floor or across a dance floor. So there's that kind of luck. And maybe there's the more broader sense that there is music that just makes you feel lucky, optimistic, positive, and in a position to take advantage of any good fortune that comes your way. So that's my question for you. Do you have a song? And please do share it with us. Maybe some of us can borrow it on days when we feel our luck is a little bit low or maybe even running out. A song that you associate with optimism, with good luck in your own life. Now, I wouldn't say that the song I'm about to play for you has in my life brought me any kinds of specific good luck, but it's always made me feel lucky and positive, partly because I think it's a fabulous song, but also it conjures up memories of the opening scene in one of my favorite movies called The Untouchables, which I may talk about a little bit later. But here we go. Let's bring on, even though it is October, we can still listen to September. Here's Earth, Wind and Fire. Yeah, I only get positive energy and positive thoughts out of listening to that particular song, and I do put it on when I'm perhaps in need of some of that. But for you, a song, please, that you associate with good luck, good fortune in your life, and good energy. Roger's already weighing in and says, my song is Three Little Birds. Bob Marley often gets played at cricket matches. But Roger, if there's a story to go with that, drop that with us, please, as a voice note. 702 Drive, it's 7 minutes to 6.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
What is the binding vision of South Africa and South Africanness? I think we lost that. We have degenerated into a place where we are nothing more than a transactional space. I say this with tears in my eyes because the potential, whom we could have become, is a distant memory. There are some of us who still feel the fire. We are able to rise above our partisan transactional nonsense that produces people who can steal 2 billion rand.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Spring is in the air, meaning it's almost time for the 10th SA Garden Day on Sunday, the 12th of October. Celebrate the day with a garden party, lunch under the trees, or cake at a community garden, and invite your friends, family, or neighbors to enjoy your garden with you. Visit gardenday.co.za for inspiration and share pictures of your celebration on social media with #GardenDaySA. SA Garden Day, Sunday, the 12th of October.
So, 702 Drive, it's 5 minutes to 6. So, Roger says a song that just seems to be associated in his mind with good luck, or at least the possibility of taking advantage of some fortune that is out there. So let's hear it. Bob Marley, 3 Little Birds.
Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds flew by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true, saying, "This is my message to you." Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Saying, don't worry.
So that's Bob Marley. I asked Roger for an explanation about why that song. This is what he had to say.
Not a specific story, John. It's just it's a general feel-good song for me. It helps when things are going a bit sideways. Just the words it encourages and makes you feel a bit better.
Yeah. Well, that's good enough. More than good enough. Dima says, my happy song, Freshly Ground's Do Be Do. We've got a couple of your voice notes. Let's hear one more.
Hi, John. It's Kevin from Muldersdrift. My daughter says, Let's Get It Started by Black Eyed Peas.
Let's get it started in here.
And the bass keeps running, running, and 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 running, running, and
In this context, there's no disrespect, so when I bust my rhyme, you break your necks. We got 5 minutes for us to disconnect from all intellect and let the rhythm affect. To lose the inhibition, follow your intuition, free your inner soul and break away from tradition. Cause when we be out, girl, it's pulling me out. You wouldn't believe how we wow. We burn it till it's burned out, turn it till it's turned out. Act up from northwest, east side. Everybody, everybody, let's get into it. Get stoned, get it started, get it started, get it started. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started.
So we got that started. We got a couple of more songs. Perry says, mine is Thank You by Dido. I'm appreciative of my wife every day. Here's one, Walking on Sunshine. Katrina and the Waves, I think that was, by Craig, who says, no explanation is needed on that. We got one more.
How's it, John? Jenny G. I can't say that the song is particularly lucky, but what it does do is that when things are not going well, you have to know that that doesn't last forever. And it's Celine Dion from Beauty and the Beast, How Does a Moment Last Forever? Really a very inspirational song when you're going through tough times. Cheers.
How does a moment last forever? How can a story never die? It is love we must hold on to. Never easy, but we try. Sometimes our happiness is captured. Somehow a time and place.
So that's all we've got time for. Thank you for those songs. Just before I go, let me wish all of our Jewish listeners very well over the Yom Kippur fast, which begins shortly. Good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking, proud sponsor of South African Auto Week 2025. Good evening on your Money